recording. Woo, okay, welcome to day one. It is now 12:01. Congrats on making it on a Monday morning. Do a training to get yourself better, more productive in real estate, and to just take your video to the next level. We are so excited that you guys are here. So let's take a second. Everybody on mute. I heard Manoir. Say hello and feel free. Let me open up the chat so I can see it. Open up the chat and tell us where you're logging in from, because we usually get people coming in from all over the country.
This is Munawar. I'm logging in from Michigan, Canton, Michigan.
Nice.
Hello.
Nice, Manoir. How about everybody else? Let's see it. We got Doug in Thousand Oaks. I'm trying to open my own chat. I'm like, come on now, chat, open up.
Oh, there we go. I was doing
There we go. Now I can see it. Okay, guys. So if you have questions, well, Tom from Gulf Coast, Florida. Hey, Tom, how the heck you doing? All right. So everybody drop who you are, where you're logging in from into the chat. And then as well as we're going through the training today, any questions you have, drop your questions in the chat as well, because we're going to go through and get to those. Megan from Phoenix, Stuart from Salt Lake, Alicia from Ogden. Woohoo! Woo! Okay. So if this is your first time with us, my name is Belladonna Rizzo. I'm a real estate broker here out of Salt Lake City. And I've got my wicked co-host with me here today. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Well, I'm Tamra Simons. I'm also located here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And me and Bella have known each other for years and years. And we're
like
just
years,
totally excited.
dude.
Yes, years. But we're totally excited to be able to do this for you and bring more value to your business so that we can all just rock it in real estate.
And not to be left out, the lovely Nico, who is managing everything so this goes smoothly behind the scenes and is also in charge of all of our music for the day. So we couldn't.
If you have any requests, just let me know.
Okay, we couldn't do it without Nico. So let's do a quick breakdown, everybody, of what you can expect from not just day one, but from the next 5 days. So each day we are bringing on guest speakers for you with their own specific area of expertise as it relates to using video to leverage their business. Now, today's guest speaker was supposed to be Dennis Yu. And Tamara, Dennis ran into some issues. Why don't you tell us what happened?
Well, Dennis Yu happens to be, very well known nationally, and he is in the middle of international travel. He was afraid that he would not be able to get a good connection while on his flight. So he was unable to attend, but we have everyone covered.
So we did, hey, if we had to drop our promised guest on day one, no less, we decided to do a twofer. We're bringing in two awesome guests today to cover the spot that Dennis was going to be talking about. And each day of this challenge, we're going to be bringing you something a little more specific that you can work on. So today we're going to be talking exclusively for the beginning of this about how you can use 1 minute vertical videos to grow your business. Now, let me ask you, who here has 1 minute a day? Does everybody have 1 minute a day? One?
Oh yeah.
Okay, we're starting, folks, we're starting with a low barrier of entry. You just need 1 minute a day to do these videos, okay? And we're going to be showing you the incredible amount of leverage you can get off these simple, easy, 60-second vertical videos. Now, real quick, I wanted to give everybody a little breakdown. So right before we end today, we're actually going to have a survey, an online survey for everybody to take. We'd like to hear a couple of things from you. One, we're going to ask you to give us a grade on each day, how we did. And then number two, right? We don't just do these challenges just to teach and teach and teach, right? The point is to actually help you implement these things into your business. So on that survey, We'd also like to know what one thing out of each day are you going to implement into your business? And then we're starting something brand new. We did it for the first time a couple of weeks ago, but there's a question in there that's going to ask you if you have an interest after these big challenges of joining a small implementation group. And I mean, we're going to keep them small. Like, we won't allow more than about, I don't know, what do you think, Tamra? 5 or 6 people per group?
Absolutely.
Small groups. It does not matter where you are, right? Because for these implementation groups, we will probably be hosting them on Zoom, but where you're going to have the chance to meet with me and Tamra in small groups to actually execute on the things that you said you're going to implement in your business. Does that sound kind of like a cool plan for everybody? Right? So we want to make sure you're actually using this stuff and not just going, okay, that was great, and then you never get started. Anybody guilty of that? I've been there plenty of times, right, in my trainings. All right, so let's dive right in. Tamra, I'm going to hand it over to you. So let's get them up to speed on vertical 1-minute videos. What do they need to know?
Okay, well, I'm actually going to share my screen here because I had the handout that kind of definitely shares with you what you can do. So if I can get this right and get the right video or the right screen, then we'll be doing all right. Okay. Let me find the actual screen that I need. There we go. All right. Can you see my screen okay?
It just came up.
Okay. Let's get this in the right. I got to move people around here so I can see what I'm doing. All right. All right. Can everyone see that okay? Hand raise. All right. This gives you an outline of 125 videos that you can do in 1 minute. So here is a master list of everything that you can do. I absolutely love this because, whoops, there we go. All right. So you can do just listed videos. You can do hidden gems. What I mean by hidden gems is if there is, some cool aspect of a listing, or, someone has listed a property and it's in a really cool location, that's a hidden gem. You can go out there and spotlight that little area. That may be something new. So you have all of these things that you can go through. You can do these in 1 minute. Very simple. Then we have for buyers, if you're looking to incorporate this and go to buyers, you can do with all of these. You can go into neighbors in the neighborhoods, builder profiles. New construction is really popular. And you can go into new construction versus existing homes. You can do the do's and don'ts of financing. That's a big one right now with interest rates on the rise. You can talk about things that no one hears about, like homeowners insurance. These are topics that show that you are the professional. You are the one that is the go-to agent. So then we have just real estate updates that you can do. Airbnb rentals, you can do your market update. Architecture, that's a kind of a cool one for like here in Salt Lake. You can go downtown and see all of the old cathedrals. Why not talk about it? It's a hot little area. You can also talk about the top 10 reasons to move to whatever city it is that you live in, and talk about, why people are moving there and why it's really cool, a really cool spot to go. Then you have home ownership, any of your, landscaping tips, remodeling tips, how to fix up your home, things to focus on if they're considering to sell. So these are just all little aspects that you can bring into these videos. If you're going to farm a neighborhood, you can do it digitally. You can do it by doing 1 minute vertical videos and just talk about community attraction. You ever see, where people are talking about, oh, they ate over here. This was a hot spot. This was really good. For one, you'll also get the business that you're at, you'll get there, all of a sudden they're like, oh, this agent is excited to show us off, and you'll get into their people that are online that are watching that company. They'll now be starting to watch you because you'll attract that group of people. So this is all kinds of things that you can do for your neighborhoods and farming. The next thing, you can do short little bios about you. And on these, you need to show the human side of you, not the professional you, just you in general. Like I posted a time-lapse video yesterday of me shampooing carpets. Hello, that's just the human side of me. That's what I was doing. You just have to show that you're a real person, besides the fact that you're a professional agent. You can also come down and do tips of the week, or you can send out, videos to your clients or your partners and tell them happy birthday, and you do it all on video. So that's the short little handout everyone will get, but there's 125 topics for you to choose from. So you have no excuse not to do a video. There's no excuse at all there.
Tamra, as I'm looking on here, a lot of these topics are good for multiple videos. So
Yeah.
like if we see online tools and apps for sellers, I can think of a whole bunch of online tools and apps for sellers. So couldn't you do one video for each of those? So there's really more than 125 ideas on here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is really just the basics. And you can take and use your creativity, which brings that human side of you out, to, make these your own, but you can do them in a minute. So it's just, a quick, even if you go over a minute, but at least, you're there, or you're under a minute, that's fine. But at least just get yourself on video, because the whole purpose behind this is to be omnipresent. The more people see you, the more they will like, know, and trust you, even though they don't know you. But if you show them enough of you often enough, they're going to think they know you. And it's interesting because I, post a lot on my Google My Business page. And I've had people that have reached out and they're like, I want you to list my home. I didn't have to do a listing presentation. I didn't have to do it. They already felt that they knew me because they had seen me online.
And because you've been doing enough content that they already feel like they know what your value is.
Absolutely. And it takes that, that uncomfortable first phone call. Everyone has the uncomfortable, awkward first phone call. This kind of gets rid of that, because these people already feel that they know you, even though they, you've never talked to this person, but they've seen you often enough that they think they know you.
So what are I know you talked about they can be shorter than a minute, and they can certainly be longer than a minute, but what are just so everybody understands, what are the advantages of keeping these videos at 60 seconds or less?
The biggest reason is people have short attention spans. A lot of times, we're caught up in reels or shorts for YouTube. You're watching, those are all, a minute, and sometimes even less. I think reels just went to 90 seconds, but you're still under that minute rating. And people have an attention span that long if you are creative and it's something that they're looking for. So if they see you enough and you're present enough online, under a minute, they're not going to get bored of you. And it's said that, unless you're doing, 5, 10, or 15 minutes, that's a YouTube video. That's where people go and they're willing to hang out longer. If you're on Facebook and Instagram, it's under 3 minutes, because people aren't going to stay longer than that. So you need to, do these 1 minute videos, and that keeps their attention. Everyone can hold their attention span for 60 seconds,
I hope so.
That they're, that they're interested in. And, if you're doing a virtual tour of a home, people are like, oh, cool. Well, they'll watch. It's 60 seconds. They're just getting a flash. If you're doing an open house and you can give directions, that's 60 seconds. You can hold the public's attention for that 60 seconds or less. If you're like speeding through it and then you're like, click, okay, I did my life. I did my 1-minute video. You don't even have to do these live. You can just record them on your phone, no other equipment needed, just your phone, and put them out there. Post them on Facebook, Instagram. Nice thing about Facebook and Instagram is they are, they're co-related now. So if you're on Facebook, sometimes it will give you the option to make sure that your video goes to Instagram or vice versa. So there's no reason that you can't post there. I mean, you can post on YouTube Shorts if you really don't want to build your channel out just yet, but you can still post shorts in there to start driving traffic to a YouTube channel.
And for people who might not know what YouTube Shorts are, let's kind of break that down for them.
Okay, they're definitely a vertical video. It's not, you're not going to do a horizontal video like you would do if you was doing a 5, 10, 15-minute longer video, because shorts are only a minute. And it just gives you little snapshots of what you could actually have on your channel. So you could take any of these ideas and give the 60-second highlights of it, and then do a horizontal video in YouTube that's longer. So it just draws people to your channel.
So by keeping the videos at 60 seconds or less and doing them vertical, and doing them on your phone, guys, right? Where you're saving them, you're just shooting them on your phone, keeping them saved on your phone. You can now upload them across multiple channels. So 1-minute video once a week, let's just say Monday through Friday. And that 1-minute video can be, you can upload it to Instagram as a reel. You can then share it from Instagram as a story. And who here knows the one awesome thing about stories versus reels? What's the one thing that you can put in your story that you can't put in your reel? And let's see if we can drop it. Anybody want to drop that answer in the chat? I'm just keeping a quick look here. Link, yay, give that woman a prize. We should do door prizes for people that answer the pop quiz questions right. Okay, so Tawny Shaw nailed it, guys. In your stories, you can drop links on your video. So let's say you shoot a 1-minute video about 3 staging tips that will sell your home for more money in less time. Okay, there's your 1-minute video topic. You're going to record it on your phone and save it to your phone. Step 1, you upload it as an Instagram reel. Okay. Then when you have your reel, you have the ability, I don't know if everybody's seen, when you click on your reel, there's a little paper airplane icon right under the reel. When you press that, it allows you to share that reel as a story. Now that same 60-second video is a story, and you drop your link. What do you drop your link to? What if you have a staging guide? What if you are simply driving them to your website, right? Drop that link in the story. So now you're in 2 places. Take that same video, upload it to Facebook, put it in Facebook stories. Now you're technically in 4 places, right? Because you're in the feed and in stories on both platforms. Well, it's a 60-second video. You might as well upload it to TikTok because you've already made the thing and it takes 2 seconds to upload it from your phone. So you're now on 5 platforms. And Doug, I'm going to answer that question for you in just a second. And then number 5, that 5 was TikTok. Number 6 is you can upload that same 60-second vertical video to your YouTube channel as a short. So now you did 60 seconds worth of work, and honestly, it'll take you more than 60 seconds to make the video, right? You might have a false start here or there or whatever. You do it more than once, but you guys will start getting way more relaxed at it the more that you do it. So let's just say it takes you 5 minutes to shoot your video and 5 minutes to post it in all those places. In 10 minutes a day, you've created valuable content for the consumer, something that they want to know about. You've posted it across 6 platforms. Does that make sense to everybody? Awesome. Now, Doug asked, he said, hey, aren't stories only visible for 24 hours? Okay, I hadn't planned to go here with this, but you guys want to know how to take stories and turn them into a lead generating machine on your Instagram account? Anybody want to know that little hack? Okay. So yes, stories vanish after 24 hours and they're no longer seen unless you turn them into a highlight. And so who here knows what a highlight is? So let's show an example. I'm going to share my screen really quick.
This is fun stuff.
Okay, is everybody seeing my screen that I didn't plan to share? So I got a bunch of random stuff up. That's great. Here, we'll start with going to my Instagram account. Okay, have you guys seen these little round icons in other people's Instagram accounts? These are called highlights. What is a highlight? It's a saved story. So when you create a story and you do it in video, or it could be still images, you can save those stories to your highlights, and you can save them in groups or categories. So guys, stay with me on this. You can see how mine are grouped, and the most current events will automatically move to the front of this list. Okay. So I recently just posted a story about today's event with a link reminding people to sign up. You can notice I have agent tips, behind the scenes, EXP Realty, books, and free guides, right? I have a few more, mindset, and a little bit of personal stuff here. Okay. Notice I keep my personal stuff in my highlights, not in my feed, right? So what if, and then I'm going to stop my share so I can go back to looking at you all. Okay. So here's how you do your video stories. What if you created, let's just start small, 3 stories with buyer tips? Could everybody do 3 1-minute videos, and each video had a different buyer tip on them, right? Then you create 3 stories with sellers tips and their video. Maybe you create another set of stories that's life in your city, your major metropolitan area, or your major area where you're working, right? Maybe you have another one that is home staging, if you do home staging. Now, across the top of your Instagram, you have a highlight for buyer tips. You have a highlight for sellers tips. You have a highlight for life in Toronto, or life in Denver, or life in Chicago, wherever you happen to be. Then maybe you have one on staging tips, or whatever other special things that you might offer your clients, right? Maybe you have another one that's free guides. Maybe you have a staging guide, a buyer's guide, a seller's guide. Okay.
Here's another one that they can do for that also. And on yours, how you had events, it's summertime. Everyone is going out and doing things. There's all kinds of carnivals, you know, things that are going on in your city. You can do a 1-minute video in your stories for those events that are happening in your city. And then you can save it and label it, you know, city events or fun events on your highlights in your stories. So anyone that goes there and they're like, oh, I mean, excuse me, after this last weekend, they had Taylorsville days. Okay. I posted about it, and then I added it in there. You could do a short video if you've got like, oh, there's, you know, a state fair happening, or, you know, there's some major event. Then you can post it on your Instagram with your 1-minute vertical video, and then save it in your highlights and just label it, you know, your city events. And then it keeps people going, oh, you know, she knows what's going on, or he knows what's going on in his city. And they keep coming back because you have the main stuff that's happening in that city always posted in your feed.
Right. Another thing that you guys can do would be to spotlight different neighborhoods in the areas that you work. Guys, how many people do you think find you online because they're looking to move into your area, or they're just researching in general, right? And so if you have a group of highlights on your page that's the local neighborhoods. And then you've got a little video of all the neighborhoods that are popular in your area. So we're here in Salt Lake City off the top of my head. I can think of a dozen without trying hard. There's the Abs, right? The Avenues, 9th and 9th, Sugar House, Taylorsville, West Jordan, South Jordan, Harriman, all radically different from one another, right? In look, feel, lifestyle. So you could do short videos for each one of those that's specifically aimed for the consumer to go see what life's like in those different neighborhoods. That is, Doug, how you take those stories that normally vanish after 24 hours and you turn them into a lead generating machine by using short video. And then on each one of those videos, you drop a link, right? And that link takes them where? Well, ideally to some place where you're going to be able to capture their information, okay, to your website or a landing page where they're going to put in their info and they're going to get something in exchange for value, or at the very least to a page where all of your information resides so that they can now reach out to you with more questions. And it is 10:27 and our first guest speaker just hit the room. So I saw Keagan coming on in. So Nico, can we find Keagan and throw a spotlight on him?
This is exciting, folks.
You guys are going to love him. Woo! All right. All right, everybody, let me give this gentleman a brief introduction. One, he is hands down, flat out, my favorite agent on Instagram. He is hilarious. He adds value. All of his stuff has value and it's entertaining and it's creative. Now, here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to see Keagan stuff and get all intimidated and down because you're like, I can't do that stuff. I promise you, it is just a jumping off spot. But Keagan, the one thing I love most about you is how you have totally captured your voice. And it's a perfect example. I felt like I knew you before I ever met you. I felt like we were friends before I ever met you because of your ability to leverage these really powerful vertical videos. So for all those that don't know Keagan, he is a full-time real estate sales agent. He works for one of the biggest builders in the state of Utah, Edge Homes. He is a badass. He has absolutely exploded his personal real estate business, doing obviously not only video, but Keagan, would you say that video played a major part in your business taking off?
Yeah, I definitely think it did 100%.
Okay. Awesome. So we're going to kind of turn it over to you. We've just been kind of talking to them about the power of 60-second vertical videos, 60-second or less, all the cool places that they can leverage those videos. And we've given them some ideas on what kind of videos to create. And then I'd really like to just let you talk about maybe a little bit about your business, where it was, where it is today, and how you've used video to blow up, and then maybe a little bit about what kind of video you do.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you for that introduction. I feel like that is not the same person that I am, but
it is, trust me.
No, thanks for having me on here. I think the first thing that I want to say is I totally understand how intimidating it is getting into putting on online content, because I think the first thing, and maybe you guys have talked about this, if I'm repeating something or being a dead horse, I apologize. I just hopped on, but I think the biggest thing we fear is critique from those that are in our circle, or like, oh, am I going to look stupid, or yada yada yada. So I guess to kind of give like some stats for me. So in 2021, I did a little over 40 million in real estate, and then 5.6 million of that came directly from Reels. Yeah, so it's a good chunk that came from that. And so the first thing that I would say is, if you have that fear, is that fear worth 5.6 million in real estate?
That's a great question. Okay, I'm going to do the math. 5.6. Oops, hang on.
And a few extra zeros.
Yeah, million times. That's $168,000 in commission.
So you can pay me 168,000 to look like an idiot. I'm okay with that.
yeah, I'm okay with that too. And that was just in 1 year.
Yeah.
That doesn't count all of your other commissions for that year.
100%.
That's just the ones that you know for sure came from your video.
Correct. Yep.
Awesome.
So that would be the first thing that I put out there is I am motivated by money. Some people are motivated by time with their family or like other things. So I would say, figure out what that is for you and then how you can leverage that over your own fear, because it made a huge difference. And I think one of the biggest, or I shouldn't say the biggest, but something that's hard being in real estate is there's a lot of agents in Utah, and it's a great way just to stay in front of people, right? So I just last week, there was 2 different incidences where my wife and I ran into someone, and I'm usually pretty good at remembering people. Like I feel like I have a good memory, but these 2 people, I recognized them, could not remember their first names. And I was like, how do I know them? But they remembered my first names. They knew where I worked and they knew what I did for work. And it's because I'm so consistent on here. The other thing that I would throw out there as well is, and one of my friends said this to me, we look at social media as, or I shouldn't say we look at it, but I think subconsciously it's a way for us just to escape reality. Most people are scrolling through to pass the time and to not really use it to their advantage. And I think once it's a mentality shift of like, I don't go on Instagram or TikTok anymore to just waste time. I'm looking for content that I can post. And I think when you learn how to make that shift, the quality of your videos becomes better, because your sole purpose of being on it is to make you money or to build your business. And then it will help traject you that much farther, and you're just not wasting time. But I say that there are still some nights where it's midnight and I'm just in my bed scrolling and I'm like, I don't want to go to sleep. I want to keep looking at funny videos. Like, it happens. Nobody's perfect, right? But so, yeah, so I think that posting often and posting good content is definitely crucial. I'll walk you through my process, because I think the most common thing I hear people ask me is, how do you come up with this stuff? Or like, where do you get these ideas? So I don't know if you can see my phone. Okay.
And that is one of my main questions, especially for your content, because bro, your content is funny and it's really creative.
Well, thank you. I do try to make it relevant, you know? Well, actually, maybe before I dive into that, I'll say one more thing about that as well. My personality is posting funny content. Like, when you get to know me, kind of a jokester, I'm kind of a clown and a nerd. And so for me, that's the kind of stuff that makes sense for me to post. Now, if you are numbers driven, or if you work mostly with investors, you're not going to do the same type of post that I'm going to be doing. You might be more numbers oriented or facts oriented, and that will, vibe better with other people. Whereas I'm looking for mostly first time home buyers, maybe first time investors, and just something to kind of stay in front. So I would say, the first thing I would say is figure out like your personality, or what kind of content you could see yourself posting. And then the second thing would be figuring out who you're posting for. When I first started posting reels, I was trying to make content that realtors would find funny, that they could repost and then help their buyers see that, think it's funny, and then they reach out to the realtor and then, maybe get a deal going. But then I realized that was just too many levels deep. So now the stuff that I post is just for people who are in real estate. So realtors, lenders, title companies, because the way that I run my business through Edge is 100% through realtors and networking there. So I am trying to post content that realtors will find funny, that realtors will engage with, and then later on ask, hey, I saw that Edge has this development coming up, tell me about it. And so that is my end goal, whereas yours might be, if you're looking for investors in Utah, like if they already own a home and you want to teach them how to leverage the equity in their home to buy something else, or just figuring out who you want your buyer to be. And that's probably the coolest part about leveraging social media, is you get to pick your clients. We had a panel, it was like 2 months ago, I want to say. And there was a realtor up there who has a huge following on Instagram and TikTok. And she was saying how she just gets to pick who she works with from now on. So you don't have to fire buyers, because you won't hire them if you don't think they're going to be a good buyer for you, which I think is a great position to be in, because then you're just more efficient with your time. But so going into how I make posts. So when you are on Instagram, on the bottom, like there's your reel button right there. I won't even like really read stuff. I will scroll through. And if I hear an audio that I think that could be good. I don't know if you guys can hear this.
Yeah, it's faint, but I can hear it.
Okay. But so I'm just going through, and then when I hear something that I think that could be funny, like I'm trying to. So let's say I find one that's funny. I'll flip this back around so you guys can see it. I'm like, I'm leaving here with something. So this was me, but at the bottom, it shows like the audio. You can touch where it says original audio. And then there's a button that says you can save it. So when I'm just scrolling and I see, oh, that could be funny, I don't try and make a reel right then and there, because like I'll take 10, 15 minutes a day and just swipe through and then see, okay, this could be funny. The other thing that's cool too is once you click on that sound, there's a bunch of other videos that pop up as well. So if you're like, oh, that could be funny, I don't know exactly what I want to do with that, but there might be something there. When you click on the audio, you can then click on one of the videos. If it'll let me. And then when you scroll through, there's different people who made similar videos using the same audio. So I'll scroll through that as well, because if it's like, okay, I have half an idea, maybe one of these other videos can help solidify that idea. Or maybe I scroll through and say, oh, that's funny, I could do that using this example in real estate. So that's how I get to the audios. And then I'll show you the saved ones. So if I just go through, like I have a lot that I've saved over time, because I'm probably not going to use most of them. But then when I have my time, so like let's say I scroll 15 minutes a day, pulling through all these audios and saving them. There's two ways. Have you guys talked about batching at all?
No, we haven't talked about batching yet.
Okay, well, I won't go in depth because I'll let you guys talk about it. But basically, you can record one video every day or 2 videos every day, or like take a couple hours a week and record all of your content for 1 week. That is, there's no benefit to either way of doing it. It's just your style. It just depends on your schedule. For me, because I have gotten into the rhythm of doing it, it's easier for me to just do a little video every day than to set time apart, because my schedule is kind of crazy and like I'll have random stuff come up. So there'll be days where I'll get into my office and I'll have 15 minutes before I have an appointment I have to go to or something. And I'll say, okay, I'm gonna make this reel really quick, and then I'll save it or I'll post it right then and there. So that's just my style. But if you are doing what they call batching, where you just record a bunch of them in one sitting, you have all these saved audios, and likely when you hear the audio again, you'll remember, oh yeah, that's what I was going to do with this one. If you don't remember, I'll find an example. If I think I have an idea, but I'm like, oh, I might not remember this one, or yada, 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 I'll make a draft. So once I click on the audio, there's a button that says use audio, and you can start recording. And then I will just record the reel on a black screen. Like there's nothing going on, but then I'll write in text, like, this is what this is about. So like, this is one example. I don't even know what this is. It just says, how much is this house on the draft? We'll see what it says, but. I can't tell you what it really is. Yeah, I don't know those, but like that's an example of, oh yeah, I can't tell you what it really is.
So it saves your ideas, basically. It's a way
Exactly.
to save your ideas by creating little drafts of reels and then just saving them in the drafts on your phone.
Exactly. Yep.
Gotcha.
The other thing that I have found helpful as well, and this is a little arbitrary, but it's more of a confidence boost, is I have a couple friends that we all lease the same office space together. And when I'm making one, I will just go drop in and I literally just turn my phone around and go, is this funny? And let them watch it. Because I'm going for funny. Or if you're going for, like I said, if you're going for statistics, I would ask, is this engaging to someone? But just having someone there to kind of proofread it, because there have been a couple times where I make something and I'm like, oh, this is terrible. This isn't funny at all. And then I'll show it and they're like cracking up, like, oh my gosh, that is so funny. I'm like, dude, I did not think this was worth it, but okay, here we are. There's been other times where I'm like, this is probably my best reel yet. And they'll go, I don't really get it. So then I know if they're not getting it and they're in real estate, then those who aren't in real estate aren't going to get it even farther. So then I'll go back, change some of the text, or maybe even just make a completely different reel, because you want to make sure that your content is relevant and that you're bringing in quality. You know what I mean? So I mean, those are just kind of some tips of like how I do it. But what were some of the other questions you had, Bella? You want me to go over?
Let me ask this for the people that are watching. Would you like us to show a couple of quick, like we can switch over to Keagan's screen and show a couple of his reels? Would that be helpful for you guys? Okay, I see lots of people shaking their head. All right, so hold on for a second, Keagan. I'm going to share my screen and pull up your account, because I think sometimes like watching a few reels is the.
You just muted yourself, Bella.
Oop, duh. Okay, here we go. We'll see how this goes. Okay, you guys seeing my screen okay?
Yep.
Oh, I just had you. There you are. Okay, we'll pull up your most recent one and we'll see.
Oh, you might have to click the sound button in the bottom right corner.
Is there anybody in here? Is there anybody in here?
You know it's bad when I'm just laughing in the middle of watching your stuff. So let's take a look at a few of these. Let's take a look at a few more.
Oh, this is just a rap I made.
For work, but rap about it. I've been spinning my wheels, trying mountains and heels, trying to close some deals for real. DBs from Maverick, call me an addict, every day skipping meals. I've been known to contemplate interest rates and closing dates. I'm your new construction expert in the world of real estate. What I do is I sell them homes, don't lease so wretches on the phone, on and on, taking up appointments at 7 in the morning. Real estate is my obsession. I can talk about it day and night. If you're unsure or have a question, call my phone. That's a right. Tell me what you.
Oh my God. Okay, wait, I gotta stop. Now I am seriously intimidated. So good.
Don't be. It's easy. And I'll throw this out there too. If anybody wants help making them, like I'm always open to, like, we can meet up for 20 minutes and I will help you make a reel. Like we can do a collab on the first one and just walk you through how to do it. I've already done it with tons of agents. I'm happy to keep doing that.
That is awesome. And then really quick, I'm going to scroll through some questions. So Bonnie, somebody was saying that they were wanting the link to your Instagram. We've dropped it in the comments here a few times. Oh, and then Steve, we'll get to your question here really quick. So for the people that are in Utah, how do they find you?
On Instagram, or you're just asking?
If they wanted to come and do just collaborate with you on a reel.
Oh, they can message me on Instagram. They can text me. Yeah.
Okay. And you already agreed to do one with me, and then I didn't reach back out because I was literally building out this challenge and I got so busy.
Yeah. I just got ghosted. I was like, okay, I guess she doesn't want to make one with me, whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry. I just got crazy busy. So we're totally doing one. That's like all there is to it. So some of those were so simple and easy. Like the funny one of you, it was just text of keeping the client's kids busy so they could go pick out their granite countertops.
Hilarious.
And you dancing with like treats. That, like, how simple is that? And yet it was hilarious, but it actually really made a good point.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing too is when you're looking through these audios or looking for stuff to do, there's stuff that happens every single day in our line of work that we think is normal. Like one perfect example is the client being 30 minutes late, or a client texting you and saying, can we go see this house in 5 minutes? I guarantee if you hopped on Instagram right now, you could find multiple audios to go with that. So I think part of it is just not overthinking it and just thinking about your day-to-day work, something funny that happens, or it could even, yeah, I can give a lot of examples, but then just making it, just doing it. I was talking with my little brother about a month ago, and it was pretty funny because he was saying to me at first when I started making them, he was like, it was a little bit cringy. It was kind of like, oh, this is who my brother is now. Like, and he's kind of teasing me, but then he's like, but now they're good. So he's like, those first couple ones, yeah, they might be a little bit rough, but as you keep doing it, you get more confident, you spend more time, and you get more familiar with it. They get less and less cringy. I mean, hopefully, as time goes on. Sometimes I feel like I'm still pretty cringy, but again, if you're paying me $170,000 to make stupid videos, I'll make all the stupid videos you want.
Okay, so you brought up a couple of really good points that I want to make sure that we hit for everybody. And that was, one, your early videos aren't going to be very good. Like just make peace with it. But so now I know people are tempted. I feel you out there. I can hear your thoughts. They're thinking, well, I'll just make them and I won't post them until I get better. What are your thoughts on that?
I think just do it, because let's just talk about this absolute worst case scenario. Let's say that you're just horrible at doing this and like you get nothing out of it. Just stop doing it someday. Like that's the worst that could happen. You're not going to die. You know, people aren't going to come up to you. I truly believe that people are not inherently bad. I think people want to do good. Would you go up to someone and say, oh, you're the person that makes those really weird videos? No, you wouldn't. You'd be like, oh, I've seen it on Instagram. That's the most that you would probably say.
Yeah.
So,
If that, I mean, you'd have to make a
Yeah.
heck of a lot of videos for that to start to happen to you.
right. Yeah, exactly.
And so it sounds like everything else, you have to dive in and start doing them and just post them and know that they're going to get better as you do more, right? It's just
Mhm.
like I had an agent send me a contract to review yesterday that, you know, after 17 years seems pretty basic, but as a brand new agent, you're like, oh my God, it's the most complicated thing in the world, right? But now we don't give it a second thought because we're better at doing it because we've done it. We've written plenty of contracts at this point. So same thing, right? Just make the bloody videos.
My worst video on Instagram was, I just took one of the, you know, where you do the same effect that someone else has done. And it was my very first Instagram reel and it got 1.1 million views. I was like, that was the worst one I could have done. And then I look and it got 1.1 million views. I was like, hot damn, I'm on to something.
So we had a question from Steve that said, hey, about posting real stories and posts, they're all different. As a last resort, what's the best one? If he had only had to pick one. And then he had some formatting questions that I'll answer. So for you, Keagan, if you could only pick one thing that you were going to use for the rest of your career, what would it be? If you could pick only one kind of video.
Oh, so not platform, just a specific type of video.
Yeah.
Like short form reel. And I put a reel and a TikTok in the same category, YouTube short, because people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. So that's what people want to see. The more information you can pack into less than 15 seconds, that will get the highest engagement. Now, that's my answer.
Okay.
So I could go deep into that, but I won't.
Yeah, for you, it's the shorts. That's like
Yeah.
your superpower. And are you currently, because we did actually touch on this. So when you make reels, are you also taking that same video, posting it to other platforms?
I was for a minute. I need to be better about that. So at the moment, no, but I'm just working on getting better systems in place to where it's this post and then it posts over here. So whether that's me doing it or having an assistant do it or something like that, that's what I'm hoping to get to.
Right. We all need a
Full-time
VA.
job when you start hitting all the platforms.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You almost need someone to go, okay, post this here, here, and here, because it becomes like a full-time job because there's so many more platforms out there that everyone's trying to hit. And, you know, everyone wants Facebook, Instagram, you know, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever, whatever else is out there, everybody's hitting it, but that's a full-time job when you start taking one video to hit every platform out there.
And this can help too. So I don't know if you see that app, reposts. Because I just saw Stuart's question about posting them so they don't pop up weird on different platforms. Repost is great because it'll take your video and it'll reformat it, and then it will put it like how it's supposed to. So if you record something on TikTok and then you upload it to Instagram, or you copy your link from TikTok, if you copy your video in TikTok and then paste it and repost, it will reformat it to fit in Instagram. And you can take off the watermarks, which is like the little TikTok logo or the Instagram logo that bounces around. You can take those off. So yeah, if you're trying to post on all of them, I would recommend repost. It's free. It works really well and it's super easy. And it'll even copy the text too as you're pasting it over. So if you have hashtags and things like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any other, now this brings up a good question. Because you do some pretty fun stuff. Like you did some pretty fun stuff with your videos. Do you have any editing apps that you use, or do you mostly just edit inside of the Instagram platform?
I just edit inside the app, but I have friends that will use outside apps to do that. So I think it just comes down to preference. I think the biggest part for me is I'm just lazy and I don't want to go relearn a new app. So it's like, oh, this works for now.
I'm getting there myself, dude. Seriously. So
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. So, how many videos are you posting, say, in a given week, to give everybody an idea of what their volume should be and their consistency?
I was posting once every day. I had some family stuff come up this past week, so I wasn't able to post every single day, but starting today, I'm going to be back posting once a day.
Okay. Is that Saturday and Sunday too, or Monday through Friday?
I do Saturday and Sunday. And usually what I'll do, because I work Monday through Saturday, anytime, any hour, but then Sunday I just leave with my family. So I'll usually record 2 reels on Saturday or Friday, and then I'll just post it Sunday at my house, just open it up real quick, post it, and then just turn my phone back off.
Gotcha. So that you've got that downtime.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you kind of have to force it these days.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And so now I know we talked about the number of volume, the dollar volume that you did but just to help people really get their head around it, in general, how many units do you think you're closing a year just because you're creating these short form videos?
I think if I was just going to go on a low average, like 5. Last year was 9, but just staying conservative. I think I would hope if you're posting something every day, I would be shocked if you couldn't get 1 to 2 deals a year out of it.
And so we're talking average sales price is now over 600,000 Utah, but let's just say we go low and say 400,000. It's a $10,000 commission. So $20,000 just laying around.
Yeah.
Because you did a couple of videos.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. That's not a bad
at all.
But you came in just under $170,000 in commissions from your videos.
My commission scale is a little bit different, but if I was getting paid 3%, yes, that's what it would be.
Gotcha. Yes. Oh, well, that's true because you're working with the builder. So it's a little different for you guys.
Yep.
So we've actually got about 6 minutes, guys, before we're bringing on our next. We did a 2-fer today, Keagan, and you know the other guy, and you're welcome to hang with us too. It's Boo.
Hey.
Who's coming on at 11. And so who's got questions for Keagan? Unmute. Feel free, unmute, ask questions, throw them in the chat because I'd like to give you guys access directly to him.
No questions?
I know it takes people a second to get unmuted. Unmuting is sometimes kind of hinky.
Well, I have a question, Keagan. Do you look at your Instagram like it's your digital CRM?
I personally don't. I manage my clients outside of Instagram because there's a portion that comes from social media, but then I would say the majority is from like my own SOI, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I could see it working. I think it's always good to have as a reference point. Like if you like as you asked that question, I remember that there was a guy that reached out from Hawaii that wanted to buy an investment property, and I haven't followed up with him, so I need to go back. Maybe it should be.
We do have a question. How long do you usually take to find, record, edit, and post, just on an average?
In the beginning, it would probably take me 30 minutes to an hour. Now it's maybe 5 minutes.
That fast? Like you just
Yeah.
got better at them?
Okay.
Yeah, well, and then that's even not including the scrolling, trying to find an audio, but that's like, I'm sure if I found an audio right now, I could make something pretty quick, because it's when you do it frequent enough. I mean, it's the same with anything. When you're doing something a lot, you just kind of get into this rhythm. So for me, it's like I've almost conditioned myself when I'm watching reels to see how could this apply to real estate. And then when something comes up, it usually pops in my head pretty quick. And then I'll just judge, is that good or no? And if it's good, then it's like, sweet. Then I literally just go, I have a couch in my office. So I'll lay down on the couch, we'll scroll, and then like, oh, that's a good one. Get up and then start recording. Well, I guess it depends too, because there's some reels that I've made that were like pretty extensive, like a little over the top. And those maybe took closer to like 20 minutes, but I'd say 5 to 7 is probably the average. Oh, I'm in
That's
Utah.
not too bad.
Bonnie,
And I'm
Bonnie
just-
asked if where I am.
Yes, but like where?
Oh, so I mean, I live in Draper, but then we have communities all over North Utah County and South Salt Lake County.
Gotcha.
And then they're asking Keagan if they can get contact info. Oh, so guys, if you go to Keagan, and here's the thing, like everybody, Keagan, we're getting you some followers, dude. Every single person on this Zoom needs to go follow Keagan. Go follow him, because you're going to get a great sense of what he does on Reels. Plus you're going to get great ideas and exposure to his cool stuff. So Judy said she already did.
Well, and not only that, that's where they can also message him if they have questions on to how maybe he did one of the reels that are there. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if you guys want to team up with him, if you happen to be local and you want to go out and do a reel with him. Okay, so I just dropped Keagan's link back in the chat for everybody. Go follow him. And if you click the link in his bio, Keagan, it takes them to all your info, right? So they get your cell
Yes.
phone, your
And
email.
I can show you how to set that up too. That's actually pretty nice as well. I'll
I've
show you
already
real quick.
added him because I'd like to get with you sometime out at one of your homes.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
maybe do some reels, maybe bring some other realtors with me.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll
Okay,
have a
I'd
little
love
reel
to.
fest, little reel
I've already
party.
added you on Instagram, so
Perfect.
I'll be in touch.
If you guys go, so on my Instagram, there's a button that says, well, for you guys, it's a link. It says float out page. It pulls this up, and I'd be happy to show you guys how to set this up too for your own Instagram. And then if you hit the message button, it will go to text, and that's my cell phone. So
Yeah, that was a great looking little page. I really liked it. What was the name of that one?
it's called flow page. It's
Flow
really
page.
nice. Yeah.
So kind of
No,
like
I-
Linktree.
Very similar. Yeah,
Similar.
very similar. I just like the
Linktree
look of flow
competitor.
page because I feel like it's a little bit more custom. Like you can add more pictures, backgrounds. Like I have music that plays in the background of mine. It's almost like a mini MySpace for those who remember MySpace.
oh, that's cool.
I remember MySpace.
Yeah. I put my text in the group chat too, just in case people don't have Instagram. And then if you guys want to text me, so I have your number and I'll save it. And then something I do for all the realtors that I work with is Edge has releases or new communities and stuff that comes up all the time. So I try really hard to keep realtors informed of like what the market is doing on the new construction side. Cause I know it's kind of a different animal from existing or resell. And that most of the agents that I've worked with, they're a little bit intimidated by it. So my goal, both through Reels, but then also through just my regular work, is helping that not be as intimidating. And so when you have those clients at first meeting, they go, we want to look into new builds. It's like, oh, I know this company, they're building these areas. And so you have something to present as opposed to, yeah, let me go see what I can find. It just helps you look more professional. So if you guys want to text me or message me on Instagram, your phone numbers, first and last names, and then emails, I'll get everything saved in my phone, and then I'll make sure you guys get those updates too, so you're always in the know.
Awesome. Plus, who wouldn't want to work with you? That would be a riot working with you on a transaction.
I hope so. I feel like you're overselling me quite a bit.
Now you got a thing to live up to, right? And
guess.
I want to give Edge a final plug too, guys, because, and I know we've got realtors in from all over, but plenty of people from out of state have relocation clients coming into Utah as well. And not only does Edge do a really nice product, they also pay a 3% commission, which is nice. It's nice to be appreciated in our industry, especially in a time when buyer's agent commissions have been falling at a time when they're working harder than ever, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So that's really nice too.
Yes. Thank you. We love
Awesome.
working with agents. We love agents. So
Keagan, I can't thank you enough.
happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And you are so freaking awesome. And then you're welcome to stay on.
I have to go
I
to my next
know you're
appointment. I would have
busy.
loved to, but
Okay,
thank you
no
for the invite.
worries. Keagan, thanks again,
Thank you so
man.
much.
Bye, everybody.
Woo, everybody give Keagan a round. Woo! All right, and I can see him on my screen. We have got the boy named Boo. We got Boo Maddox coming up. So Nico, I might be able to get to him easier. I am, woo, there he
We
is.
there?
And the myth, the legend.
Can everybody hear me okay?
I
Yes.
can hear you great. How about everybody else?
Yes.
Hi, guys.
Hey, so really quick, everybody, let me introduce you. This is Stephen, otherwise to all of his friends and agents known as Boo Maddox. He is also kind of a head honcho over there at Edge Homes, but has really branched out in a big way into real estate. And Boo, you have really exploded your business through video almost exclusively, right?
Yeah, it's and I do want to add to this too. I'm 9 months ahead of everybody else in this group, right? Meaning that this was not a focus of mine 12 months ago. It was something that, like, in the back of my mind, I knew I was doing terribly, but I had to be doing better. So with what I'm about to say, like, I think it's kind of crazy what it has become. Like, and I think a lot of agents have like similar feedback when they start using content quite a bit. But like, it will seem like I am a ways ahead, I think, at different times or different portions. But what I want to show you guys today is real time, how I evaluate what I post, what I'm going to be talking about. Like, literally, I'm going to run you guys through the back end of everything that I do. I will give you guys, this is probably, Bella, like I was thinking about it this morning. This is probably the only time that I will ever do something like this, because this is like, I am going to share literally everything that I am doing and why I am doing it, because it has all been very deliberate. But it all started 9 months ago. So like, I want to make that like super clear that this isn't, the key from today is it doesn't matter what anybody says. If you don't go and start today, not tomorrow, not later tonight, but if you guys don't go start actually creating content today, you are going to get further and further behind, right? Like, that's just the reality of the situation now. And I mean that with all the love in my heart, because I think what you're about to see has all been done out of like a love and like a passion of working with real estate agents, right? And getting super clear on what my message is. So like, this is because you guys are realtors that are like trying to do this. This is the only time. Like, I literally have my YouTube analytics page ready to go, Bella, because we didn't talk about this a ton, right? So like, I'm like, I don't know the direction to go. So I'm just going to I just figured I'll walk you guys through what it looks like when I come in on a Monday morning, what I'm looking for in analytics, what I'm looking for what adjustments I'm going to make based off of them. And this is like, I 100% transparency. You might get blips of this on my social media, but this is what I'm using to grow. We grew 60 subscribers last month alone from having nobody on our podcast. We started a podcast a month ago, and that was kind of the catalyst to a lot of this, right? And so like, just going to run you, like, I am going to run you guys through everything, and there are no secrets. I have nothing going on for the next hour. So I am booked, like, however you guys want this to go, I am at your mercy, and we'll kind of let you guys lead the conversation, but super excited to be here with you guys, Bella.
Oh man, Boo, I am so excited. And I get really hung up on analytics. That's probably my weakest spot. And I'm stoked that, so it really resonated with me. I want to make sure everybody else got it too. Boo has only been doing this for 9 months, and in 9 months, you have created a massive amount of what do you want to call it? Like momentum?
Brand awareness, I would say, like I'm not doing anything differently than I was a year ago, except video. Does that make sense? Like my business practices are all still the same. My CRMs on the back end of my real estate, and to put it in perspective too, I work for the same builder Keagan does as well. So like big fan, they're obviously are very, like shout out to Edge really quick. Like they allow me to like do this and push. And if you're not with a brokerage that allows you to do something similar to that, not good for business going forward, because I think what the market is going to require. I'm not trying to like pitch any brokerage at all. I'm just saying you have to give a shout out to Edge, who is the biggest, who is doing more than anybody else. And for like innovative ways of allowing us agents to like push new business. So make sure that your team or your brokerage has that same thing. Otherwise, I don't think that this ever works. Did I say that PC enough?
You did.
Okay.
You totally did.
Like I'm not pitching EXP. Like I don't work for EXP. I'm not an EXP agent. Like but I do work. If that helps you put it in perspective, I do work with a lot of agents that are in this type of a business model today because of meetings like this, right? Because this is what that business is. So shout out to those brokerages and those teams that I work with on my real estate business, and shout out to the company that I work for, and make sure that you're on a team that has support like that. I would say. Was that okay?
Totally,
Yes.
it's totally okay.
Okay.
Totally okay. And this is the most un-PC maybe challenge on planet Earth that you'll ever be in. I just haven't had a need or desire to go non-PC for this one, but
okay. Well, so shout out to Bella and everything that you guys have done. Like I think this is like the third event first one I'm speaking at, but this is the third one that we've kind of been a part of and got to see. So like kudos to you guys and what you're building.
awesome. Thank you very much. And now you just take it, Boo, man. You just take us on.
One more thing. I want to just make sure that we get your podcast out there, because I actually watched it yesterday and I was like, okay, I now follow.
I appreciate that.
What's the podcast name?
It's called Who's Your Agent? We're on Apple, Spotify, and we are Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And YouTube has really been the driver for everything that we are doing from like a growth standpoint.
Awesome. Okay, and I just put that out there to everybody.
Thank you.
And
you want me to, I can send you a link tree really quick if you want, Bella.
Oh yeah, would
easier.
you please?
Yeah, let me do that really quick.
Because one of the things that just so everybody who's on today's challenge knows, this is all being recorded. We're going to send out the replay. We're going to send out handouts, downloads, and links. So if we reference any link during the course of the challenge, it's going to come out to everybody via email. So just keep an eye for that.
So I just sent you that link tree there.
Awesome. Got it. Right on. I'll make sure it goes out. Oh, and it looks all fly.
That's what I'm saying. But it's all very easy once you get the systems and everything down. So.
Okay, well, take it away, my friend. It's the rest of the time, of course.
Yeah, so a little bit of, I want to give a little bit of background to my real estate career so that everybody can kind of have an understanding of where I was coming from. When I say that, like I've sold houses, in 2020, I put under contract 202 units personally. In 2021, I put under, it was 121, but for a dollar amount of about $65 to $70 million. And I did that. I don't have any other agents on my team, right? There's other Edge agents, but I'm not allowed to have a showing assistant, buyer's assistant, like nothing like that. So that was with me and 2 TCs. And I got really good and I streamlined that business. But what I realized is that what was the driver for my business was agent attraction, right? So as a builder's agent, I sold all of those houses, but I did it by going and networking with buyer's agents, right? I would go and I would meet with them, get to know them, and that became my full-time lead generation. So I don't sit a model home, and I haven't for 3 years now, right? So all of my lead gen, those 350 sold houses, were all through lead gen. Sorry, my camera guy just walked in because I do need to get content of this. Sorry, so we're dual tasking right now, right? Jonah, come say hi to everybody. Guys, this is Jonah.
Hey,
Jonah helps edit.
Hey, Jonah.
I do all the little editing and fun stuff like that.
Nice. And I want to know
Don't mind me, just pretend I'm not here.
I want that pink light in your background, bro.
Okay, I'll send you a couple.
just
So
need
what
to wait.
so what I realized is like I built these systems and I was sitting on a beach in Hawaii feeling really, really good about the business that I had built that was selling all of these units and had transaction coordinators to help with the paperwork. And I felt really good about where my business was at. But what I realized is that the lead generation portion of my business, which was the agent relationships, was still very, very heavy. Like that process that took, the amount of time that took in relationship to my business, it was a ton, right? And that was my lead gen, I would say. Right. So like, that's what I want to make sure that we're doing is like labeling this correctly, because even though my business is somewhat different than yours, the principles all still are the same. Right. And so it starts with that. It starts with getting very crystal clear on who your target buyer is. Right. And then translating that into social media and saying, who is my avatar? Who is the person that not only am I engaged with on social media, but who am I creating content value for, or value through content for? Right? If you are not actively pursuing what you would say is your quote unquote target market on social media by deliberately putting content out geared towards creating value for them, you're missing the mark completely from the very beginning. Does that make sense? I just said a lot of words. Like I want to make sure that we're all understanding the same.
I just took so many notes on that, Boo. That was huge and powerful.
Well, and that's how I got to sell X amount of units. And I knew that I could sell 350 houses every 2 years, which was an unbelievable living for my wife and my family, right? I could create the life I wanted to. And I automated a ton of the business portion of it so that I didn't have to, right? I have a backlog, you guys, of anywhere from 9 to 11 months. So I had to build a process to manage a portion of that. But what I realized is that lead generation, which was the majority of my business in order to hit 350 transactions, I had to figure out a way to automate it. And social media was that. Social media was the way for me to grow my personal brand. And it wasn't necessarily that I posted a reel and then somebody DM'd me and said, hey, I'd love to buy this house from you, right? Like that has happened no times. Okay. And if that's why you're creating content, it will never work. If you are creating content so that somebody will reply and say, holy shit, I got super lucky. How did you know I was looking for a 4-bed, 2.5 bath in Lehi, Utah? This will never be that for you. At least the version that I created, right? If there might be something that you guys can do with your different talents and whatnot, but for me, that was not going to be an option. And it never felt realistic to me as a real estate agent. Right. So I got very specific on who I was targeting and why I was targeting them. And the way that I targeted them was by figuring out how to create value for them through the content that I was producing. Does that make sense?
That does. And if I'm quiet, it's because I'm writing. I was
well, and I don't know how much of this is supposed to be like, I don't want this to ever feel like a lecture. Like I dropped out of school 3 times because like like I said, we didn't get a ton of time to run through this, so I don't want to like overstep and everyone's like shut up or
no, that was absolutely ideal. Actually, somebody asked if he could repeat it. So really quick, does anybody have any, let's get a little bit of feedback. Unmute if you have a question. Does anybody have a quick question about how Boo just broke that out? Because there were I heard 2 giant points. Does anybody have any questions on that? Is everybody crystal clear for him to keep going? Because this is just pure gold, dude.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
I'm making this up as I go and going in the direction that feels right. So I wrote some notes, but I am very much of the opinion, like I want this to be a growth session for everybody, not just like there's a lot of, I love being able to run through this and I love questions about what we're doing and why we're doing it. Because if there's a better way to do it, I want to be very aware of that, right? One of the things that is always going to happen when you start posting on social media is you're going to have unfollows. You're going to have people that disagree with what you're posting. You are going to have, but there's 2 solaces that I have found, okay? The first one, when that starts happening, unfollows are really good for your business. Why? Because if they were never going to buy from you based on what you put on social media, they were never going to buy from you in real life. Like if they are that easily triggered, if they are that easily, and I don't want to misuse that word, but if they are that easily offended at what you're posting, sitting down with them and going through the real estate transaction with them was going to be miserable and probably bad for your business if we're being completely transparent. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean that like argumentatively. I just mean like, if they unfollowed you because of you sharing where interest rates are at, they were never going to let you do it in real life. So let them go, right? We remember why we are posting on social media. we are crystal clear that we are creating value for the people that we deem as our clients. If they unfollow you, they were never clients. And it doesn't matter what you did in real life. It doesn't matter how much you dropped your BAC. It didn't matter what you did. It was never going to be the best relationship that you can do, right? Which ultimately I would say that by gearing your social media this way, it allows you to work with the people that you want to work with, right? And I think that's like where the biggest time saver for me has been, is that I'm not having to like shortcut the process. I'm not having to make the process miserable, right? Going back to the only reason that this is possible is because I'm crystal clear on who I want to work with. I market to those people only, and I create a shit ton of value for them. Does that make sense?
It does, which in turn, you know, just to get a clarification here, when you're doing it this way, you're actually attracting your tribe, the ones that would actually work with you on a day-to-day basis. You know, they would actually walk into your
Specific though,
world.
Tamra, specific to my real estate transaction.
Right.
Nothing else, right? I don't care if they don't agree with how I raise my kids.
Right.
That's not like that's not what I'm specifically talking. What I am talking about specifically is like working with people that when they come through the doors and they have a buyer and they think Edge Homes and they want to call Boomatics, right? Ultimately, that's the goal. For me, everything that I do is laser focused to that specific point. That when any of you real estate agents have a buyer that thinks new construction, before you think of any other builder even, I want you to think of Boomatics, right? I want you to think like, okay, like that's how crystal clear I am with my message. That as soon as I say it to all of you that have looked at any of my content, you're all like, okay, like that was the lens that we needed to see this all come together, right? Like when I say it, all of a sudden you guys are like, okay, now Bella, I can see her wheels turning over there because she knows what I've been doing for some of her events with the free content creation, right? Everything that I have been doing for the last 9 months has been very specific to one group of people and one group of people only. I'm not trying to get to 10,000 followers. I'm not trying to monetize on YouTube. I know what those standards are, right? I know I need 4,000 hours watched. I know I need 1,000 followers, but I don't really care about that right now. Why? Because I am very crystal clear on what my personal branding is to that specific group of people.
So Boo, on that one, that I think that one slips by people, because my general, and it was me too. Well, no, I guess I take it back. I specialized in my career. My specialty for my whole career was FSBOs, and I was like laser focused on FSBOs, and then expireds, because they're kind of the same people.
The skill set that you need for both of them is the same, right?
Right. And there was crossover between those two groups even. But what I found is a lot of agents try to be generalists, meaning they want to just work with everybody. Like if it's a buyer, if it's a seller, if it's an investor, if it's any kind of buyer, any kind of seller. And I find that usually comes from a lack of leads, consistent leads. So there's a kind of a scarcity, like shit, you just got to grab whoever you can. But I'm hearing you say something different. You're getting like laser focused on, almost like you're niching down. Is that right? To who you want to work with?
Yeah. And it's kind of like the other piece of this that needs to also be talked about. And I've been terrible about this for the last 9 months, because this is where my focus has been, is on creating the social media content machine that we have helping operate it. And right. And like I said, we'll go through everything with you guys if you guys want to. But this is a portion of my lead generation business, right? This is not all. Once you get it to the point where this is just a part of what you do, it still frees up, right? I think what I did is I took 100% of my realtor relationship time that I was putting out there, right? Whether that was going and golfing, whether that was going to breakfast, brokerage meetings, like anybody that's worked with me knows that has been the majority of how I've grown my business, was face-to-face interactions, was handshaking, was going to lunch, was going to events, was being a part of helping people's businesses grow, right? Like but that's what was taking so much time. But I don't mind putting that time in. I love putting that time in. That's like some of the better time for me, right? So that I don't know what that is for everybody's business, but whether that's throwing client appreciation events, whether that's like the entire goal for me on this was for me to be optimizing the time that I was spending. Right. And so what I realized is that I was spending a ton of time going to these events with my target market, right? My sphere, this group of real estate agents that I wanted to work with. I was in brokerage meetings once a day, right? Like face-to-face, handshaking, everything. And during COVID, we were getting unique, right? I was getting custom face masks done for all of my buyers and for all of my agents in different groups that I worked with and handing them out, right? But it all comes back to being crystal clear on who I was marketing to and how I was spending my time operating with them, because ultimately that's what my constriction was, right? Ultimately, because of the ways that my business is set up, I can't be in two places at one time, right? I can't, if I have two teams that both meet on Tuesday mornings and I can't be there, doesn't matter how much time I put into it. Doesn't matter how much I love my kids and I want it, like it's more than just like not, I got to the point where I couldn't take everybody on, right? And so I had to figure out how to shortcut the process though of getting to know everybody and establishing the trust really quickly, right? Because keep in mind, while I am doing this at the exact same time, I'm having to fight a couple of things. I'm having to fight COVID and not being able to do the face-to-face stuff. I'm having to battle a time when it's very, very easy for a seller to sell houses right now, right? For the last 24 months. So
Yep.
I've been fighting builders agents are shady. Builders agents are doing this. And if you're on our Utah Facebook group, you've seen me probably go at a couple of different people that are kind of picking on builders, but it has not been a sexy time in the last 24 months to be a builder's agent. Right? You have builders
No.
canceling contracts. You have like, so it took more and more time. And this is what allowed me to get like laser focused, right? More than anything, I'm trying to help you guys understand the importance of doing this and getting to the point where this, like, it feels big and it feels heavy right now. But when you get this to the portion of your business that generates and like I said, I didn't work through this, so I'm still figuring it all out for you guys. But like, you need to get to the point where everything that you're putting in and everything that's coming out, this is what you're spending the majority of your time on, right? So I still spend the majority of my time face-to-face with real estate agents as best I can. The difference is now through social media, I've been able to shortcut the process of getting to know them and just jump immediately into the, hey, I'm Boo and I'm with Edge, because people know who I am. Right? It's a personal branding approach in that target market, right? So that's why you got to get super, super clear, is because then what comes next is like that brand recognition in public in the specific group of people that you want to be associated with, right? Right in the middle of your buyer sphere, right?
Right. That's awesome. All right, man. I'm excited. I've already taken 2 pages of notes. It was really...
Is there any questions on that? And do we have enough time, Bella? I feel bad. I feel like we just
No,
took
we
much
do,
time.
dude.
Okay.
We're good. We're golden.
Okay.
And so,
is there any questions from that, you guys? Like, I don't care. I don't have boundaries. I don't have like whatever you guys want to talk about. There might be certain business things that are like are proprietary that like we'll get into this, but like I can't share. But other like I am 100% an open book right now.
I'm just monitoring. It looks like if anybody has a question, speak now, unmute. Okay, I think we're good to go forward.
Okay, so now the question becomes, how can I create content for that demographic? Right, so let me tell you guys what I have come up with, right? I set a couple of parameters for myself, okay? And this is kind of like the portion of like the building the social media business, I would say, is you have to kind of step away from it and you have to look at what your real estate business looks like and you have to figure out what you're really good at, okay? That I think comes down to being honest with yourself and saying, okay, I'm not, like, for me, I knew I wasn't good at editing, but I knew that I was good at speaking, right? I knew that like I didn't have to do a bunch of different takes to get my message out. Like I knew that the stuff that I was doing, like I had the content, I just didn't have anybody to help me create it, right? So that was one of the first things that I did, that if you don't, like, hire somebody at some point as soon as you can to help you do this, whether it's an assistant, whether it's whoever, and have somebody that like you pay to help generate this, because it's that important, right? But get very, very clear on what you're good at. Get very, very clear out with the portions of social media that you're not comfortable with or you're not good at, and then start attacking things. So for me, what I wanted to start doing was figuring out a way to create as much content as I possibly could, right? For me, like I said, this idea, this whole like social media push for me spawned when I was sitting on a beach in Hawaii with my wife. And I was feeling really, really good. We were staying at the nicest hotel. We flew first class. Like I was feeling really, really good about the life that I had built, except for the fact that I realized, like, if I'm not, I always called it my song and dance, but that's like kind of a derogatory term, I think, towards, because I enjoyed doing it. But unless, like, unless I was out there actively with people, my business wasn't growing, right? Because I wasn't actively engaged with that group. So what I wanted to create was something that it didn't matter where I was at, what I was doing. If I was on Sunday riding razors with my kids and I got service for 30 seconds, I wanted to be able to throw up a TikTok, right? Whatever it might be. I realized that that was something that was going to be super, super important to me. So I wanted to figure out how to generate as much content as possible, as quickly as possible. So that's why I recommend hiring somebody to do what I'm not telling you to go and do what I did, which was to hire a kid to come and start helping me edit full time, because that's a lot, right? That's a big step to be taking, because that's an investment back into your business. Like, and this is, I don't know, am I allowed to plug, Bella? Like, you know what I do.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
if you're in Utah, I actually started a content creation company to help facilitate kind of that in between process where you're like, you know what, I don't have $15,000 or $20,000 a month right now to outsource what my social media content looks like, but I would start spending $1,000 on it. I started a company, it's called Mad Cash Media. So go and give them a follow on Instagram. They're the ones that help me edit, cut, everything like that. Any of the content that you see me putting out. And so what my idea was this, and I'll kind of tell you guys a little bit of the background on the company really quick, but I hired a kid because I was at the point where I was just like, I had tried to start doing social media a couple of times, but I had never been able to get myself to stay doing it consistently because it was always changing and it was always evolving. And I was like, you know what? I'm selling enough houses as is. I don't, right? And so that was kind of, I hired a kid because I wanted to kind of commit myself to it originally, I think. Right. And so hired him. And then I realized really quickly, I don't have 8 hours of content a day. Right. Like I don't have, like, I'm cool, but I'm not that cool. So I started, this was kind of the first time where I was like, okay, content is important right now. I know that that's how people are doing branding. There's not a single real estate agent that wouldn't go and make content with me right now if I could figure out how to invite them to go and do it. Right. This was kind of my idea to start attacking my sphere, my group of people, my niche, my market, whatever. Everybody has different terms that they want to call it, but that was kind of my first attempt at okay, how can I use content to attack that group of people? Does that make sense, guys?
Totally.
Okay. So what I started doing is I started calling up people like Michael Perry, who was with EXP for a while. He's with Real. I'm not plugging one of the others. I'm just.
Oh, it's totally okay.
But all that I'm saying is he believes in the model that you guys are potentially looking at through a brokerage like this. But he runs, I think it's the number 1 or number 2 team in the state of Utah. He's 26. He's been a good friend of mine for a long time. They're on track to sell somewhere between $750 to $1 billion worth of real estate this year. He's 25, 26, absolutely killing it, right? And I called him and I just said, hey, send me a couple of your agents that want to create content. I just hired a kid. I paid him for 40 hours of content this week. I got 14. I need to fill his time up. Come and make some content for free with us about new construction. And nobody told me no, right? Nobody told me no. And I know what you're thinking. You're all thinking, well, yeah, I'm a real estate agent right now. I would take free content right now if I could. Great, say that whatever you want to, but look at what I just said for what it is. I got who my demographic was to say yes 100% of the time. Yep. Right? So you have to figure out, and I don't know how to do this for you. I'm not a buyer's agent. I'm not a seller's agent. I am very, very firm in what my lane is, and I stay in it 100%. Figure out that's my niche though, right, Bella? I would say that my niche in real estate is now translating into my niche in social media, and it's no different, right? And so it
occurs to me, just like a quick idea, that you could, let's just say as a real estate agent, you find a really popular local restaurant and say, hey, I've got so many hours of content I need to do. I'd like to come down, interview you, and do a plug for your restaurant. Is that something that you'd be interested in doing with me? And I can't imagine anybody would tell you no.
And that's what happened, right? But it was all of a sudden I got agents that I had never met, right? Part of the parameters was hey, if you come and create content with me, Bella, I know you, Bella. So if you want to come with me, my only requirement is this is how I grow my business. Will you bring 3 other real estate agents with you? Will you bring Sabrina with you? Will you bring some of these gals that I've met through your group? Will you bring them with you to make content that I don't have a relationship with, but I would love to have one? Right.
Right.
Are you gonna?
Of course I would.
Why though? Like talk through it. Why would you say yes?
I would say yes, because the value to me is so high that I'm willing to, and I know that those people would also find value in it. And so I'm not even asking them to do me a favor. They're going to want to come do it. It'll help them. And in the course of helping them, it helps me.
Exactly. And so like for me, I know who my target market is and I know how to find more of them. If you can't get clear on that, this will never work because you're not going to like the results that you get with doing social media. That's just the reality of it. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Like that's how I think that's how you can actually generate consistency within social media, is when you know that it is a portion of what your business is doing, right? When you feel like it's this ancillary thing that you're trying to work in, it's really, really hard to do on a consistent basis because it's the first thing to go when times get tight or when times get really good, right?
Yeah.
When times get really good and all of a sudden I sell 200 houses in a year, I'm like, I don't need to do stupid ass social media, right? Obviously what I'm doing works really, really well until I realize that there's a better way to do it. That whatever your business has been or whatever your business is currently, I am telling you, as somebody that has the nichiest niche of all niches, right? I cannot, you guys know, for reference, when I say that I sold 350 houses, Bella, how small is my demographic at Edge to sell? I didn't sell a single house outside of Edge. How big, like in a geographical basis?
Oh, it's
20 miles?
Yeah.
A total, like you guys, when I say that
you've niched down to just agents at that.
That's
and then
what, like,
about it, only agents who are selling, who are in production. Now it starts to get to a really small niche.
Correct. And so like when I say that, like, that's how laser focused you need to get on your niche. That's how laser focused, because that's where like I feel so fortunate that I worked for the builder that I did, because like they kind of put me in that niche just a little bit. But I think that that's also how you find it for yourself. What has your business, like what your business, if you're doing transactions and you're selling houses, your business is automatically going to kind of show you and push you to what your niche is. You just have to be honest enough with yourself, I think, to see it, right?
Right. Well, like something that just springs to mind is you could reach out to 10 for sale by owners and offer to create a free home tour for them with your phone and market it for them on your platforms. Do you know what I mean?
So what I realized, you guys, like, and to backtrack a little bit and explain kind of what Mad Cash Media is, all of this was kind of being done, realizing that like I would have loved as an agent to have access to doing something like that and building the brand and not having to stress the editing process and not have to stress the actual production of the content. Like I wasn't afraid to be in there. It's the only option on the market that I have seen that is geared towards that type of a person, right? To the people that want to have a Google Drive that has like with what I have built. Okay, how about this? Just to give you guys a frame of reference. I started my podcast literally a month ago tomorrow. We posted our first episode on May 28th. And I have 73 gigabytes worth of content ready to post at any given time.
That's
right. So like, that means that I could probably not make any content for the next 6 months and still be posting close to daily on multiple platforms, right? Like that, what we have built and what this has kind of become to allow people that are very, like this doesn't work if you're not clear on who you're marketing to, right? If you're coming to us and saying, hey, can you figure out how to come up with marketing ideas? This doesn't work, because what we want to do is highlight the people that have the content. They just don't know how to create it. Right. So like, that's who this company is. And if you like, keep following along, because like, we're just kind of getting started, but I think that there's a really cool spot in the market for that. But even if you don't use us, use the same principles that I built, right? That was a little detour, because I kind of went on that for like 6 months. And I would say in the last 9 months that I've been quote unquote creating content, I really started a month ago with this podcast. Does that make sense?
Yes. And we just launched a podcast, and oh my God, the editing
Yeah.
and building graphics and all the stuff that I shouldn't be doing.
Exactly. And so that's what I realized, like there's a really, really cool group of kids that is coming up. They're all 18, 19, 20-year-olds So like, if you ever see me, I know I've seen Nico at a couple events and my kids are all walking around him like he's this monster, right? And shooting whatever cool pair of sneakers that he has on, right? Like we can't go and like make your brand. These kids can't tell you how to market to real estate agents, right? They can't tell you how to market to FSBOs. They can't tell you how to market to these people, but what they know how to do is create the content for you to market to those people.
Right.
Right.
Just to
And
make it easier for you to kind of take the burden off of you.
Yeah. So then I kind of did that for about 6 months. And then my wife, who actually just walked into my office. Hi, babe. Come say hi to everybody.
Oh, okay.
So my wife and I share an office. She now runs. So if you ever call Mad Cash, this is who you'll be talking to. Hi, babe.
I don't know where the camera is.
Right here. So if you ever like reach out to us, like she's the one that runs everything, and it's amazing because the systems that she came in and added, right? This is a plug for her, so you guys can all feel safe that this person is talking about and bouncing around content isn't the one running the show. She's the one that knows how to run a real estate agent's business better than I do. She's the one that came in and automated a pipeline that helps navigate 350 buyers a year, right? Like
huge.
That's it.
Without
So
a
like.
team,
So she's the one that came in and orchestrated all of my back end CRM to do that. And she looked at me. How long have you been working for me at that point? 60 days, like this bane of my existence that like I had never done actively for 5 years, right? I would almost say it was kind of my first social media thing, right? Like these things that like stop us for, like, you guys have all had these things in your business before that you had to get over to start doing better in your business, right? One of mine was like my CRM, my back end management. So like, I couldn't sell more houses because I couldn't manage that many buyers.
Yeah.
She came in and built this system, and I'm not joking, you guys, I shit you not, it was 90 days later, I think. She looked at me and she goes, so I don't have anything to do. And I'm like, what? She goes, yeah. So, and she showed me what her and my assistant had built that was crazy as far as like the amount that people felt like they were like I don't even know how to explain it, right? But like it made it feel like I was there more than I really was, I think is probably like, and I think that's what social media allows you to do as well, right, Bella? Like it allows you to be kind of larger than life and like get through these hurdles that we have with buyers and sellers quicker, right? This is no different than like installing a CRM or anything like that. So all of that is to say she's the one that has built the back end of this thing, which is organized, which is there's payment links there, like all of these things that as a person that's running forward way too fast at all times in life, like that's in really good hands now. And I've had a lot of fun kind of stepping to the side and letting her take it. Like I'm like getting emotional because it's way bigger than I ever expected it to be. I wasn't trying to leave edge. I wasn't trying to like do anything different, but it really is like an incredible resource, I think, for people that genuinely want to figure out how to grow their brand. It's been really fun for me to watch what some of these agents have been able to do that have started shooting with us. We have high producers, we have low producers, we have like, it really is cool. Like if you're in Utah, sorry, we're not in any other state, like we're in Lehigh, Utah. But like, I'm telling you guys that there's not a better way to like invest in your business right now from a social media standpoint. So sorry for like the shameless plug, but like it was built like with all of you in mind that I've sat in these classes, right? Like I've tried to figure out how to do more social media.
Well, it's all about, you start where you're at, right? You start doing what you can do. Yep. With the resources that you have, and you grow, you just grow. And then when you get to the point that you can actually start to afford to reinvest in your business the second you can, like, do we really need the iPhone 13 or 14? Do we really? I mean, this thing's already like 20 times smarter than I am. No, take that money and reinvest it in your business instead. Like, yeah. You know.
And I think that part of the issue for me, like, cause I wanted to, there wasn't the place to, I felt like I could do it. That's what I built. And now like, it's bigger than I ever expected it to be or planned on it to be. And it really is a very cool resource, I think, for real estate agents and businesses that I think is like a very competitive advantage right now, that like, it's exactly what I, as like a top producer individual that wanted to be doing more social media, it's exactly what I wanted to do, but it's not at like a top producer price point, right? But and this is like going to be kind of the last part of what we talk about, right? Is that all of that content creation doesn't matter if you don't really like. all that I'm giving you is a way to implement. If you don't have something that, like, if you don't know the marketing, if you don't know who you're going after, if you don't know what it is that you're creating content for, none of that matters, because my kids are just going to show up with cameras in their hand and expensive ass equipment that I bought them all to make this look legit. It's not going to work unless you have the content that you want to put out. So that's why I want to transition now into kind of what the podcast has become. And for the last 30 days, what it's done, the analytics that we're looking at, the numbers that we're looking at, and the tweaks that we're making. Is that
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey,
That sounds
we are way too long right now. Are you sure we're good?
I'm sure we're good.
Okay.
I'm excited to hear this part.
Okay, so the podcast for me, right? So the question became, there's two parts really to managing a relationship, right? There's the getting the relationship, and then there's the managing the relationship. The managing relationship is probably my favorite part of it, right? Like I said earlier, going to the team meetings, bringing breakfast, doing a giveaway, like very similar almost to like what a lender does, but like rather than like a lender that's reaching out trying to get business from you, I'm trying to grow your business, right? So ultimately that's like what my pitch was to my demographic. So this is probably that next step. Like you have your group, you have your demographic. How do you start pitching them through your social media? And my pitch to them was, I want to help you real estate agents sell more houses. Okay. Like that's like, if we get crystal clear on what my message was, that's what my message was. And so for me, you have to figure out for you how to pitch your demographic, how to pitch your market, how to give them an irresistible offer that nobody says no to. So first, that started with me going and creating content with them and shooting it with them. Right. So what I started doing when I hired my very first kid is he made a reel. I went and did a podcast. And at that podcast, this was the first event that I brought this kid to. I saw him in the background kind of doing this with his phone, and like he had some stuff up and he was doing this. And I was like, what the hell? And I'm like trying to do this podcast, like looking over my shoulder. And we got in the car, and it was a 20-minute drive. And by the time that we had got to where from the podcast to my office was 20 minutes, he had one of the coolest reels that I had ever seen in the market, done, posted, trending sound, boom, gone. Oh. And I was like, wait, have you guys ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
Yep.
Yes.
You know, when he sells penny stocks for the first time and he goes, how the F did you do that?
Yes.
That was literally my comment to this kid. And I was like, okay. That would have taken me 4 hours to do. I don't know how you did that. I don't know why. Like, and I looked at him and I said, can you do that again? And he looked at me like I was an idiot. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, can you do that again? And he goes, yeah. I said, how many times? And he looked at me like I was an idiot. And I was like, he didn't understand what he had just done. But to me, I felt like a caveman, and he had just kind of lit some fire, right? Because what had taken me a couple of hours, we went from like a lightning strike, like I had seen fire, to all of a sudden he whipped out a lighter that was waterproof and started lighting stuff on fire, right? I was like, okay, wait, I need more of that. So I started calling real estate agents, and this is where it got into that referral, where I really started to be able to attack and go and get referrals and get introductions to real estate agents that I hadn't met by calling them with an irresistible offer and saying, Bella, I want to make some new construction content with you for your social media. Not for mine, for your social media. I want to make content for you geared towards new construction, right? Because I'm not trying to help you. I am trying to help you sell more houses, but Bella, let's be honest. Whose houses do I want you to sell more of?
Yeah, yours.
Right? That's just the reality of it. And so like, that's how specific I got with this niche, right? That's how like laser focused on an irresistible offer for this group of people. I said, you're going to come and make new construction content with me. It's on my dime. It's free. Bella, how many people told me no?
None.
Not one. Give me 30. I need another. Babe, will you grab me a drink real quick?
What do you want?
Just anything out of the fridge. Sorry, guys. I'm like getting cotton mouth from talking this much. Yeah, it's great. So you have to figure out how to get that very targeted, specific. How do you provide, and you guys too, like this came after a ton of failures, right? Like I want to keep in mind, like I have had to use the same, thank you. I've had to use the same shticks that other builder new construction agents have of, well, we pay this, we do this, we won't treat you back. Like I had tried all of those pitches to my target market and it just wasn't as effective as I wanted it to be. So this is only going to work through trial and error. Like that is just going to be the reality of it. But those errors are going to help you get closer and closer and closer to what you guys want, to the point where then you're giving that irresistible offer to your market and they're all saying yes.
So it sounds to me like people really do need to get frickin' specific about who their clients are, like who they want to work with.
Yeah. And there's going to be, yeah,
you're not going to be able to dial in your message tightly enough if you keep it general.
Well, yeah. And the issue too is whenever you're creating content outside of your demographic, think about how difficult it is when you have that buyer that comes in from out of your demographic that's not the easy person for you to sell, how much more time away from your business they take. Right? Like we've all experienced it, and not that we don't want to work with those people. It's just, it's not as more than it's not even as fulfilling. I can probably like with Michael Perry, right? The reason Michael Perry, and I don't think he minds me sharing the story because I've shared it before. The reason Michael Perry was like such a critical point for me was because I realized with Michael Perry, he was my exact demographic that I wanted to. He had a whole bunch of 25-year-old people on his sales agent team. I was 2 years older than them. I had been in the business a year longer than them. Like to old people that had been in the industry for 5 or 6 years, I was not established. But to these individuals who had only been in the industry for a year, Boo was 3 years in. I was a pro at that point, right? And so like that was a group that was like really fundamental, I think, for me and my growth and changing and realizing how specific you need to get, because those transactions, I could do 3 of those transactions for every 1 transaction or so that was outside of that sphere. Right. So every time that you're creating content for people that are outside of that sphere and outside of that demographic, I think the ratios are going to be the same, right? Because it's going to take you 3 times as long to research what that person actually wants to see, 3 times as long to actually create what that person wants you to create, and 3 times as long trying to study and see if it works or not, because you were stretching too far and you're trying to see if you failed or not, right? Like those, it's not as easy, right? Like that, this is the path of least resistance if you are patient and you're diligent and you're consistent with it, right? So all of that goes to, okay, I need to figure out how to take 1 hour with a real estate agent and create rapport enough for them to think about me immediately when they think of new construction at Edge Homes. I had taken people to lunch. That didn't work. It was tacky. It was overdone. It was used. None of us like going to lunch with somebody that we know is actively trying to get business from us, right? That's just the reality of the situation. Right. So I'm like, okay, I have an hour, I have 90 minutes. I don't want to have to spend a ton of time doing this because this is the hardest part of my business. How can I do this? Okay. So obviously agents love, right? I want to show you guys how all of these ideas kind of came together. Right. But obviously nobody tells me no if I make them content, right? That was like one of the principles that I learned through creating content. So I was like, okay, that is something that even if the other stuff didn't work, right? The other stuff didn't work because I had to go to the events with them, right? I had to go and show them how to make content. I had to go and show them how to do all these things at every one of these shoots. And it was taking me out of my element from what I was better at, right? Which was like getting in front of more and more and more, not just like going to these shoots. So that's why, once again, we automated this portion of it, and Mad Cash is now doing its own thing, creating content for agents, right? So you have to just keep going and going and going until and taking the best pieces of what you learn. And like, that's how you build this into a consistent strategy, I think, though, that carries through, right? Like you have to always be growing and be evolving. And that doesn't necessarily mean more followers. It doesn't mean like more fame. It doesn't mean you're going to go viral. It doesn't mean anything like that. But what it means is that now when I walk into a brokerage, or now when I go onto a group of agents, like this is a really arrogant question, but those of you in Utah, what percentage of you guys have heard of me, or at least have like heard anything about me?
I had.
And you and I had never met, right?
No.
And it's like
I knew you because Sabrina had brought you guys up multiple times.
And so what I realized though is that I didn't want to have to go to every event, because I didn't want to have to take the time. Like I'm still very uncomfortable with teaching people how to do social media content, because this is not my wheelhouse, right? Like I didn't want to have to go to those meetings and for everybody to see, hey, I'm kind of shitty actually at coming up with social media stuff. I want you just to do it yourself. So like all that I'm trying to say is like, you're going to have failures. The difference though is you have to look at like those failures. It's like, okay, but I learned this, and I learned this, and I took it with me. Because what I'm doing 6 months from now is not what I'm doing today. And what I'm doing today is not what I was doing 6 months ago, which was going to events and trying to create content with real estate agents. Right. But what I did realize is that everybody told me yes. Everybody gave me the automatic thumbs up, and everybody that came automatically assumed that I was the expert, because I was the one that was like bringing them in and having this stuff done. Right. And so I was like, okay, so how can I get to the point where nobody tells me no, but I can also, like, my irresistible offer is so damn good now that I can go and I can literally say, okay, I want this person, I want this person, I want this person, and I want this person. Right. And when I say want, what I mean is I want to have a relationship with them. I want to be their first thought, not like I want to take advantage of them and take them for their business, but I want to genuinely be a part of their business and helping it grow. Right. Ultimately, that's what my mission was to do, to bring to these real estate agents. So I said, okay, I had been invited at this point to speak on 4 or 5 podcasts, and I had got asked by somebody, right? And this is like 3 or 4 months into my social media journey, I would say, to do a podcast. And I responded immediately because I was so excited, right? Because I'd only done 1 or 2 of them. And I said, oh yeah, absolutely. And they said, really? And I was like, yeah, why not? And they're like, we just thought you might be too busy or something. And I'm like, not for this. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, this is kind of sweet, right? So like, I'm like, instead of making fun of myself and being a hater and like being, making fun of myself for like geeking out over being invited to a podcast because like I'm this content creator, right? Like haters are good, right? Pointing out things like this in your business is good, because now it allows me to look at it and say, okay, no, wait, if I was this excited for this product, somebody else is going to be too.
Right.
And so that's ultimately what led me to starting a podcast. I started to say, okay, what is the best way for me, right? And let's actually role play this, Bella, right? Okay. You're a broker, okay? Right? Keep in mind, who's my target market? Who's my demographic, Bella, that I'm going after?
Agents.
Agents that do what? Agents that are doing, well, agents that are producing, right? Yes. Like that's the big one. It's like, it's really hard because some agents will sell 100 houses one year and then 0 the next year, right? It's a very up and down business. I watched my dad go through 2008 as a builder. I wanted to do everything that I could to kind of miss those swings. So if I could just be around the agents at all times that are producing, right, I will be okay, right? Like if I'm that, and once again, you guys, it sounds shady, right? It's not even like, I think to me a year ago, I would have called it almost slimy, right? Like,
see, and I think that's where, because agents aren't used to running businesses, right? Any business that offers a service or a product knows who their client, the first thing they have to figure out is who's their client, right? And so if you know that your client or agents are in production with, say, a certain minimum production year over year, that's who you need to talk to. That's who you need to get in front of.
And so like for me, that was what I needed to be in front of. Those were the relationships I needed to make. But you guys think about, and I know what your thing is like, okay, well, yeah, boo, I get it. Yeah, you're called real estate agents and offered them content. No, I called my clients and gave them an irresistible offer on why they should always think about me first. That is all that happened. And the way that I did it was by creating value for them. That is always what this has to come back to, is that if your approach through social media is not to create value for those clients that you are actively targeting, pursuing, then this will never work on a consistent basis for you, because you will never see the results that you want to see from it.
So I think, you know what I love about this, Boo, is it's not an easy answer. I mean, there's a lot of easy answers out there, but this is, you as an agent, you're going to have to put some freaking time and thought into this. Like, what is, first of all, who's my ideal demographic? Who is it? Is it like who? It's gonna be different for everybody, and they might have a couple, right? If they're regular residential agents, they might have a certain type of buyer that they typically work with, and sellers in a certain niche or price range or area, right?
And so like that's what I got just crystal clear on. And you have to come up with and figure out who they are first, and then you have to figure out how to create the value for them.
Exactly. And that's a
that's
tough
the
piece.
missing step, I think, for a lot of people, or at least it was for me when I was starting trying to figure out how to do content, right? Remember, I had the content, Bella. I was selling the houses. I would watch Selling Sunset and I would look up their numbers afterwards. And I'm like, shit, I sold more last year than 3 of these people put together, but
Yeah.
their branding is better. Their targeted market. My wife's staying up late, making fun of the show the next day, but she is watching these real estate agents that I know I'm selling more than, that I know I am giving a better service and a better product than. Right? Like that's why you're doing this though. That's why you're doing this, is because you will want to create value for those people. If you're not doing it with that approach, it will never work for you. Right? But you have to be clear on who they are, and you have to be, and I think that this is like the disconnect where everybody just says, oh, my content's not working, right? I think it's because the content's not working for your specific demographic, right? But now let's talk about what I have, like, let's call my social media that I have a weapon, right? That's what I told my wife when we were building this, is like, this social media thing that we are creating is going to be a weapon for me. And she's like, it's going to be like a rocket launcher, huh? And I'm like, kind of, but not really. This is going to be a sniper rifle, right? Because that's how specific I got with this approach, not a shotgun, right? So now this is my pitch, right, Bella? Let's pretend you're a broker and you have 75 to 100 agents underneath you on your team or whatever,
Okay.
right? Sadie, come in here real quick. I'm going to show you guys like how specific this is. Come here. I need you to sit down really quick.
I love it. Oh, this is exciting.
You're going to, everybody say hi to Sadie.
Hi,
Hi,
guys.
So Sadie's my assistant. Sadie
hopping
helps me
in.
post everything. Okay, so here's my question, Sadie. I have you reaching out to agents and brokers now.
Yes.
What is the 15-second to a 20-second pitch that you are calling real estate agent brokers with and saying what?
So it's pretty easy to advertise the podcast because it's talking about themselves. So we just kind of come in and we're like, hey, do you guys want to come share your perspective on this? And everyone's excited to do that because Boo's a great salesman, obviously.
So you call a broker though, and you say what?
And I say, hey, this podcast's been great so far, like check it out. And anyone checking it out is super interested right away. Our numbers are going up fast and it's going great.
And then when you ask them for names of more people, what do they say?
There's always like 2 or 3 names with everyone. And they're like, oh my gosh, I know this agent. He'd be perfect. He's doing great. And then he comes on and we talk to him. He's got another one. We're never going to run out. It's awesome. And it's going really well. It's cool.
Really
Okay,
smart.
that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you guys. Just hop on.
Thanks, Sadie. Okay, so all of that was just to show now what my assistant is calling and saying, hey, Bella, this is the podcast. She sends her the link, which looks official. She sends her the episodes, which look official, because they are, right? We're taking this seriously. We're creating the value. Like, we are putting time and energy into this, right? This isn't cheap. This isn't, it can be fast once you get it to a certain point, but like this will require more time than I am telling you guys you are thinking it will right now. But like I said, now what it allows me to do is, like, the reason you put in that much time is so that you can get this specific. To now it's to the point where I have a 19-year-old girl that's on hourly pay for a lot less than what probably a lot of you are making, right? Calling a broker, other high producing agents and saying, hey, who else is slinging a whole bunch of deals that you think should go on this podcast, right? Because then what we're doing is we're also turning around. We're taking principles that we learned earlier, and I'm giving all of my guests that come on the show content, right? Because that's something that's easy for me to produce now. So every guest that comes on my show is going away with a 45 to a 50-minute YouTube episode, cut into 3 or 4 different reels that are shot vertical with subtitles added on my dime, on my nickel, right? And going and being put in a folder. We're getting 4 to 5 minute YouTube videos. Right? Can I share my screen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Oh, it is disabled.
Oh, hang on. There we go. You're good.
Okay, so hopefully you guys don't see anything that's too proprietary, but I figured let's just show you guys exactly what our channel looks like right now. So this is, like I said, we posted our very first episode on the 28th of May. Was kind of the first day. We've done 3 episodes a week since then. Right. So I am calling this is my lead gen, right? You guys, this is what I am calling my lead generation time. My assistant is helping me and just stacking my deck. Right. So if I want to spend an extra 1 hour with my kids in the morning now, instead of going to a stupid broker meeting where I'm never going to get business from, I can do that. right? Through social media, I was able to drop I'm going to get emotional. Like I was able to drop my daughter off at school 2 days a week when the year before I was out of my house at 7:30 every morning and not coming back until 9. Right.
Oh,
like that's what this has done for me. By like, that's why when I tell you guys investing this time is a well worth thing that you guys are looking at doing. Like this is such an important thing to do because of how specific it allows you to get, right? Like, and I hadn't even really processed all of that. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to hear me out, but let me show you guys what this looks like. So all of the shorts that we are using, that we are getting and creating for the guests that come on the show and for myself, are all being repurposed now on 3 different platforms. You have YouTube. So you have all of these shorts. Let's see. All of these shorts, we just posted another podcast. Sorry. So my phone just blew up. It's 12 o'clock. Yep. Yeah. So like I have stuff being uploaded literally as we speak now. Cause like, that's how it's just, you have to like put that much time into this to get consistent at it, to stay good at what you should be doing with it. Right. So all of that is being repurposed onto YouTube. So these are all of our shorts that we have posted on YouTube. Now, let me flip over here to my analytics page really, really quickly and show you guys where the majority of our YouTube traffic has been. So to put this into perspective, in 28 days, we have generated over 34,437 impressions on YouTube, which literally before the 28th, I had 0 presence on. It was not something that I was posting on. It was a brand new channel specific to the podcast. So like those are, when I say that those are literally month 1, those are literally months 1 numbers when you get this focused and lasered focused and specific to who you're posting to.
And look at your watch time, really good views and watch time.
So we're at 218 hours of watch time, which I feel really, really good about. Like full transparency, right? I can tell you guys exactly, let me tell you guys the numbers that we were looking at 2 weeks ago and what we've kind of done in the last 2 weeks to tweak and to like push some of these things. So I noticed really quickly that we got a lot of impressions. If you look right here, of our total views that we had, 71% of them were generated through those shorts. Right. So those are your reels, those are your TikToks, those are your short form vertical content that right now you can, if you create it once, you can repurpose it 3 different ways: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. They all have small little nuances that if you take some time, invest into your business, you can learn. Right. My advice now on the other side of this, just start posting and pick up those nuances on the fly instead of letting that be the excuse why you're not going.
Right. So just get into action. Like just start making some videos, focus on value as good as you can get it now and be focused on dialing it in. So I think there's probably a lot of people watching this booth that are like, oh my God, my head. It seems like a lot. I feel overwhelmed. Okay. I need to go. I need to figure out my perfect demographic. Then I need to figure out the perfect offer. And I'm thinking you don't just come up with it. You start making content and you start to figure it out as you do, like you figure it out through action.
I think that that's what a lot of people like get caught up on. And I think that's what I got caught up on, was not having some of those things clear and like going to classes like this, which are amazing, but like they didn't give me the way to start. Right. And like, I always left these things feeling like motivated to do it, but I never did. I'm telling you right now, a lot of you are going to have grand intentions. As soon as we hang up, you're going to look at it for 10 seconds and get overwhelmed. Stop, go back to it, because I'm telling you, this is how specific you can get. Like, I am telling you that I am not going to tell you it's easy. I am going to tell you though, that it is something that is worth it for the ability now that I have to literally call my shot. And I don't even feel bad saying that, because that's not the service that I think I am providing to my target market right now is huge. My value add to this group of people is huge. It's expensive. It costs me money, but what it allows me to do, and what you have to start doing on a smaller level, is reinvesting back into your business. And this is what it is.
Right. And so then we just had a question from Beverly, not a stupid question at all. And yes, Beverly, it's that simple. She was like, I get confused between vertical and like when they say vertical videos.
Yeah.
So literally verticals that are shot with your phone in the upright position what is it, like the 19:6, whatever the ratio is?
5x4 is like what a lot of people will call it.
Yeah.
If you open up your camera on these apps, honestly, the majority of them are already going to be set to shooting like this format. Like it is that popular and trending right now that like if you literally, like Bella's done a great job, I think in the last 30 days of just pulling up her phone and talking to it. And they're getting shorter, they're getting more specific, they're getting more targeted. But like Bella's getting her message clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer, right? Like your content is not the same that it was 90 days ago.
No, and even I shifted. Like so for the people out there that are, because I know what it is to feel.
Bella, are we still good on time? I feel so bad right now.
Dude. Oh, this is what I always do.
Okay. I want to make sure we're good.
I'm like,
I'm good. Like this is literally what I enjoy talking about now, like is content creation with agents.
Yeah,
so I will like, I'll take as much time as we want to in this group setting right now. Because like I said, super grateful. You let us come film a couple of events early on. So like, however I can help give back, I'm more than happy to run through the analytics, what we look for, like what we're pushing on.
Yeah, heck yeah, absolutely. No, and I appreciate you giving all this time. Especially because we really brought you on the last minute. You were so willing to help out. So for Beverly's question, yes, it's literally shooting a vertical video versus shooting horizontal like this, which a traditional YouTube video is horizontal, right? But Reels, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts are vertical. It's just that simple, hun.
And the reason that I didn't catch, what was her name?
Oh, Beverly.
Beverly, the reason that a lot of platforms are doing that right now is because people are consuming more content right now, not necessarily better content, right? Meaning that people are wanting the quick hit 15 to 18 second shots of like quick shots of value. They want their quick, what's the short one? Is it an espresso that just is like packed with the cat? They want their shot of espresso and they want to be out the door, right? Like this is what that is. This is the espresso content, right? Like that's what these shorts are, but that's why. So if you look at like my average duration of time, am I still sharing my screen? Yeah. So if you look on my shorts, it's 19 minutes. If you look though for these are some of the longer clips that we have been posting, right? So these are going to be for my 30-minute podcasts, 30 to 45-minute podcast episodes, which we have now posted. I think we posted either the 13th today.
Nice.
Probably it should have been the 13th, I think. So this is after 12 of those that have all been repurposed a whole bunch of different ways. And the repurposing has all been done based off of what these analytics are saying.
Okay, so you're using the analytics from the original YouTube video to decide how to repurpose?
So the reason being there, just like at least my theory, right? Like I said, this is all new. So this is all, a lot of what I'm talking about at this point is all going to be like what my theories are, but like I'm showing you guys a deep dive into like the numbers that I'm using to kind of hedge my bets now, right? Like kind of like this is all going, and I might not have as like thought out detailed answers about some of this stuff because a lot of this is like intuition is feeling, but like that's what kind of comes when you start doing this more. Yeah. Now I have the analytics to kind of back a lot of it up. So I'll show you guys what we're pushing on now because it's really easy to look at these and be like pissed, like shit. I made a 45-minute video. I made a 45-minute episode and the average watch time was 4 minutes. Yeah. Right? Like I can go through this. Like I will go through all of this with you guys because I want you guys to understand where my headset has been or where my mindset has been. So 2 weeks ago, this was 3 minutes to 4 minutes. This average view duration was anywhere from whatever. I think it was like 3 to 5 minutes before people were getting bored and swiping up, right? I looked at my Apple analytics and I looked at my Spotify analytics and my listen rate was significantly higher, right? My listen rate, people were listening almost to 50% of the episode. And so my theory was there, like, okay, people aren't necessarily going to YouTube to watch full length episodes of podcasts, right? They're going to probably get longer content, but not 45 minutes worth of an episode. Right. Like that's a really tough sell, I think, on YouTube. So that's why, once again, if you want to look at the things that you're not good at as reasons why this will never work, it will be just that. But if you look at the stuff that the numbers tell you and what the market tells you, you can get very specific if you're willing to like accept some of the hate, some of the negativity from the numbers, right? And I've even gotten to this argument with people because I love TikTok right now for a couple of reasons that we can talk about. But one of them is because when somebody comments something kind of shitty, you can reply to it with a video.
Yeah,
This is actually
right.
something I see, and I didn't know that this was an option until Neely said it actually at one of your events, Bella. But she said, I can reply to one of the videos and then they can't delete their comment. And everybody kind of laughed, like, why wouldn't you want to be able to delete that comment? And I was like, no, she's got a point. Like that. So I got called an overpaid clown on my very first TikTok video that quote unquote went viral.
Oh,
an overpaid ass and a clown. So what I immediately did is I called one of my content creators in and I said, hey, do you still keep your unicycle in your car? And he said, yes. And I jumped on it and I pushed reply to the comment and I said, that's offensive, but not really. And then I zoomed down to the unicycle, right? And I pinned his comment calling me an overpaid ass and an overpaid clown. And now like that video also did well, right? So like you can either take what people are saying is like, that sucks, which it does, but those people are also helping you get closer and closer to your demographic. And if those people hurt your feelings still, analytics are going to be even meaner, right? So like, don't just expect to be able to start getting analytics and getting feedback, because you can look at it and say that sucks that they're only watching 3 minutes, or you can say, okay, why are they not watching more?
Right. Like, how can we improve? Like we're doing too much light stuff at the beginning. Maybe we're going to need to get right to the content.
Exactly. So what I started looking at then is I went to the device type and I started to look and I say, okay, what devices, right? This is how, this can only come, you guys, if you feed the machine content. If you don't feed content into these websites, if you don't feed content into these platforms, you don't get analytics. But analytics are that next level that can help you grow like crazy if you let them tell you what they're telling you, right? Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
this,
you've got to have
this,
some data.
If I hear anybody after this say that this is why they're not posting more because they don't have access to the same analytics, I'm going to like call Bella and tell her I need another hour, because that is not the message. This only works if you feed it content. The best part though is this works even if the content is terrible, even if the content sucks, even if your content thinks it, or even if you think that your content is miserable, it doesn't matter because the analytics will tell you what's real.
Right. Or if you think it's great and then you look at your analytics.
Very true.
You're like, oh,
very true, right?
Usually analytics hurt my feelings. I'm not going to lie. Or they surprise the shit out of me. I'm like, that video did well? Like, what the hell?
Exactly. Right. So then we go back and I say, okay, at 3 to 5 minutes, people are getting bored. So I went back and I watched the last 6 episodes of my videos. And I realized that in the first 6 episodes, I didn't really do like that much of an introduction. I didn't really like talk to the camera. I didn't talk to the people that were listening or watching or whatever. Right. And so, sorry, let me back up. The reason why we made the decision as a team to double and triple down on YouTube is because it's kind of the grandfather of them all, for me at least. Right. Meaning that this is where we can upload everything, and everything, if it works for YouTube, it will work for TikTok and Instagram. Does that make sense? Like, yes. I figured if people are already listening more on Apple and Spotify, if I can get them to listen even longer on YouTube, theoretically, they'll listen longer on Apple and Spotify too. So instead of going and trying to focus on how to make my listening numbers go up, once again, I looked at what my worst numbers were and said, okay, is there a way to attack this? Right? That's how focused we're getting with this now. So I figured, so now our theory is this: if we can get everybody watching shorts to then start watching 5 to 7 minute clips, to then start watching the full episode, because at that point they're invested on a 5-minute clip, and a 5-minute clip is a hell of a lot easier to sell than a 45-minute clip is, right? As far as watch time, right? What I'm looking for, you guys, in these numbers is views is obviously a big one, right? And there's a couple of components that go into that on YouTube. And I think that Instagram and everything, I think the rules are going to be the same, right? Like what works for YouTube, I think will always work for those other 2 platforms. The reason being is that YouTube is what I think every social media company wants to be, which is ultimately a search engine, right? YouTube is the first social media platform, I would say, that has turned into it's this number 2 used search engine, right? That, like, this is where a lot of, like, in my life, I know that I don't know SEO. I don't know search engine optimization. I don't know these things to compete on Google, but I think I can do it on YouTube for these reasons right here, because YouTube is content driven and that's what we're creating.
Right.
And we're letting the numbers dictate what we do. So now I think what we can start doing is pushing really, really quickly into the second biggest platform completely organically. Right now, like now so now this idea that I had of being able to call a broker and say, hey, send me your top 2 performing agents. I'm going to put them on the show. I'm going to get them their own content we can talk about that for 30 seconds too. By me delivering them content, what is my show doing?
Right. It's raising their brand.
Correct. Is it tacky that they are advertising? Bella, like if I offered to make you this content, right? I'm sure we'll have you on the show at some point, but like when you do, and I give you this content, are you going to feel like, well, this is just pushing Boo's podcast?
No, of course not. It's like my content.
It's value for you, right?
Yeah.
So can you give the same thing to buyers and sellers that you work with that makes it worth sharing, that makes them want to refer you, that make like that's the goal also. Like that's the second step, I think, to getting that specific with your target market, is that target market also knows 3 other people that are your target market. And that's how you go quote unquote viral within your niche, right?
And so it really, it comes down to, you gotta put some thought into this and say, what kind of content can I create for those buyers and sellers or investors that will do this for them, that will provide that much value, and then referral power off of it as well.
Yep.
And just being like, okay. And the other piece of it though, is if you're doing that, your content is never going to be generic, because there's a lot of generic content out there.
Yep.
And so, it's better than no content, don't get me wrong, but saying, hey, I'm going to do a thing on interest rates, I'm going to do a thing on home inspections, and it's better than no.
It's better than nothing. But if you're not doing something, like, once again, going back to what I stated earlier about unfollows are your friend, I would rather get very specific with the people that I want to get specific with, and kind of get out the other people that aren't on board. Like realistically, if you're a real estate agent outside of Utah, there really isn't a point for you to be following me, because everything that I'm trying, right? But but the value that I'm creating is bigger than that, right? It's which is why I'm probably picking up 2 to 3 followers a day on Instagram, 2 to probably 10 to 20 on TikTok a day. And we hit 60. I'm super excited because 62 subscribers in month 1 on YouTube is a really big number for me. In addition to 200 watch hours.
That's really good, because I've only been picking up like a couple of YouTube followers a month.
Yeah. And so to hit 62 in the first month, I'm stoked. And so I think once again, though, the reason that we're able to do that is because I am literally looking at these numbers probably 3 times a day right now. It's borderline unhealthy, but I want to know, we've had a couple of these shorts that have spiked, that have hit these are full length episode, but a lot of our shorts, if you look at, back up really, really quick. Sorry. I've been trying to figure out how to get more people to watch from a computer, because in the first month or so, or in the first 2 weeks, more people were listening and watching on their phones, which I know if you have your phone in your hand, you're a lot less likely to consume that content because you got more distracting you. So I feel really, really, I hadn't even looked at this yet, but I feel really excited. And my theory was correct, right? If you look at the amount of hours that people spend watching on a computer versus a phone, it's the same when there's very close. If you look, as far as the amount of people that have started the episode, there's really not that big of a difference in the first, they're fairly close to each other. So these guys really are watching a lot of my content from a computer, which I absolutely love, but that can only be done if you're, I think, right, and this was our theory 2 weeks ago, if you were, first you get intrigued by the shorts, right? So that's why if you look, they have 32% of our total watch time on the channel. And they're, oh no, sorry, this is, let's see, where are my, stop. Where did, oh, playlist. Nope. So then subscription service, this is the other one that we're able to do. We get a lot of views and a lot of people starting everything from the shorts, right? So that's how people that are not familiar with our channel are seeing us more often than not. So then we go back to here, and what I want to see is, let's see. Well, hell. Where do my,
So you
Sorry,
bring,
guys. You can see I'm still new to this.
oh, it's okay. So you're bringing them in with the shorts, and then they're staying for the longer content.
Correct. And so like those shorts became such a big focus that that's like a portion of what Sadie does full time now is messes with the shorts. So we're testing all sorts of different things. The other one that we were tracking really closely early on was we could see the amount of impressions, right? The amount of times that our content was popping up on people's screens, regardless on if they clicked on it or not. How often was it ending up in their feed versus how often was it being clicked through? And our number, even though we were generating quite a few impressions, which I think is because of the amount of content we were putting on for an early channel, we were dumping a ton of content into it quickly.
Right.
So they're being friends. Like, I had people commenting like, I don't know why you have 13 subscribers and you're popping up on my page. I don't know what you're doing, but it works. So like just putting out that much content has been huge for getting these numbers early, right? So I think that's why like this is a unique chance. Like I said, I don't think we'll do this ever again with people, but this is like the first 30 days that you can see. So we're working on thumbnails now. We're full-time on thumbnails, trying to figure out how to get people to click. We're focusing on the best time to make those shorts. We found that 18 seconds was the average duration in the first 2 weeks on those shorts. So now the goal for the editor and the goal for the person that's helping us make this content, and as we're going through looking for clips, is okay, either at 18 seconds it needs to be done, or at 18 seconds something really cool needs to happen to get them in for another 18 seconds.
Gotcha. But so you know where your ideals are. You kind of know, okay, we want our shorts no longer than 18 seconds. Ideally, shorts drive people into our longer content. And so for a real estate agent watching this.
But then more than that, sorry, Bella, what I wanted to also say too, because this is also a super important step, all of it we were making specific for YouTube, but also repurposing it on Instagram and TikTok.
Right.
And being able, like, TikTok has really kind of been my dumping ground. I'll be 100% honest and transparent, because that was where I wanted to go and get my yips out. That's where, if you go and you look through my content, it kind of jumps around for a while, because I was just trying to figure out what worked for me. I wasn't advertising my TikTok. I wasn't doing anything like that. That was where I wanted to go to burn content, to just start trying to figure out what my niche was. And it didn't really go anywhere for about a month. And then we had a viral video hit a week and a half ago, a week after we started focusing on our shorts. So does that make sense how like that all kind of bled into each other? We made it better for YouTube, which then makes it better for the other two platforms that are more friendly to grow on. And then it hit on TikTok and went viral last week. The same short that we were creating for YouTube.
And so which congratulations.
Thank you.
That's pretty awesome. And you've done great things here. So to kind of bring it back around to where we started this whole today with, was starting with short vertical videos is a great place for an agent, especially an agent that's just getting started with content. They maybe don't know what they're doing. Start with these short vertical videos, get them up on these different platforms, and then start to dial in who exactly are you creating your content for, and what exactly what kind of content is going to give them the most value, and then figure out what that irresistible offer is.
Okay, so can I ask you some questions that I just want like yes or no answers to really quick?
Totally.
Do hashtags work? Does the trending sound always work?
No.
Does how the time of day that you posted your content always work?
No.
Does what your content was about always work?
No.
They're like, still, you guys, after all of this content that I have dumped out, like I said, you guys, multiple videos a day. Like now, if you want to break it down, I'm at least 3 TikToks a day, Monday through Friday. I'm at least 1 reel a day. I am 2 shorts. I am 2 3 to 5 minute videos on YouTube every day. And I am 1 45-minute podcast episode every week that is geared towards consumers and why they should buy a house from the person that I have on my podcast. That's ultimately what it is that like I am interviewing real estate agents, and the question becomes, tell these people why you're awesome at what you do. I'm here to gas you up. I am here to walk you through, and like we're going to get super, like I really enjoyed this part of the business, right? I enjoy the part of like getting to know who my demographic is. I just didn't want it to take 6 months of like trying to figure out, do they have kids? What is their family life like? I figured out how to condense that into a 1-hour sit down with top producers that I'm being referred to. So I'm already walking into a quote unquote warm lead because I'm being referred. And I am like, it has allowed me to call my shot. Like it has allowed me to get that specific, that I think that there is, and I don't like, I'm not trying to be cocky, because I genuinely believe that the value that I'm giving these people that I'm calling on is huge for them and their business, right? Like I am genuinely going to give you clips about why you should be the real estate agent that everybody hires. Right. So like now, not only have I created this referral based business, but I've also created almost this like degree of FOMO, right? Like this, like people want to, like these people that I work with, like they want to come on my show. So like they are actually trying to like,
now they're starting to come to
right?
you.
Does that make like, that's like what can like people don't get very clear on what this does for your business. And I think that's the other message that I want to leave today is that this can literally change your business to what you want your business to be, but not just because you're posting videos on Instagram.
Right. You've got to really dial in this strategy.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, what's so beautiful is it ties in so beautifully with what we're going to be teaching the rest of the week, which is specifically what videos should you be making, depending on who you are and where you are. Like, what are they specifically? And so to have the strategy up front and then what they're going to be making coming up is going to be powerful.
But I want to make it very, very clear that this is my social media strategy, right? This is not going to work for you shot for shot. And I'm sorry, but like you see where I'm at already with this. If you want to come and try to compete with me against this, I really don't care, because we're going to get better. But like this is catered specifically to what my skill set is.
Right.
This allows me to operate at my best, at where I am most efficient, where I enjoy being the most, where I can like take off on a Saturday and not stress on if I'm like missing phone calls anymore, right? Like that's what this has been able to do for my business.
But I think video is very strategic. When you go into building out your video presence online, you need to be strategic. And it sounds to me like you've been strategic in how you've put it all together.
Yeah, but that strategy is only going to come, like, you can't get to the point where you're developing a strategy until you have the content out there. Like it wasn't an option for me until I'm just telling you, not in a bad way, but your business and how you approach this. And if you do this and you were committed to whatever goal you set today and over the next 5 days for this awesome event you guys are at, it will not be what you think it's going to be in 60 days. Like if you had told me 6 months ago that this was going to end up with me launching a podcast that generated over 200, if you include the clips and everything that we repurposed, you guys, this is an insane ass backwards number. If you include my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, the amount of hours of watch time that we had in 30 days was almost 7,500 hours of watch time.
Wow, that's
7,500 hours of watch time on this podcast. So once again, going back to why did I start the podcast in the beginning, Bella?
So that you could generate leads for your own business from.
Correct. So from the real estate agents.
Yeah.
Right. So now if you're a real estate agent and my lovely assistant out there calls you and says, hey, do you want to come on a podcast that generated over 7,500 hours of watch time last month alone? What are you going to say?
I'm going to say, of course I do.
And it doesn't matter how many deals you do. It doesn't matter how big of a shot you are. Like I can call on whatever real estate agent I want to. When I was a lonely builder's agent that was selling a whole bunch of houses, doing everything that I could to try to get a meetup with somebody, now I can call the producers and the people in my life that I know are moving transactions and say, hey, come on my show. Hey, who else do you know that is operating at the same level that you are that also wants to come on a podcast that generated almost 8,000 hours of watch time last month alone?
Right. And that's just genius, because then they book your calendar for you.
So now my assistant is able to do almost a big portion of my lead gen, which is set up the appointments. She's sending them the Google Drive that has all of their content in it. Like that's where it's going to be downloaded. She's sending them a one sheet that shows exactly, like you guys, like that's what I wanted to say is like, there's a lot of detail to this that has only come through everything that we've done, right? The reason why I send them a Google Drive is because that's what my wife created when she was building out the actual company and said, hey, now they can just go log in whenever they want to. And they have 50 photos to choose from and 4 reels. Right. That's like it's no different than what I'm doing over here.
And so Boo, if for agents that are catching this who are brand new and like, they're like, oh my God, there's no way I could do all that. What's the one thing you would tell them to go do today, action they could take today in their business?
Nobody buys a house unless you ask them to, right? Like I genuinely believe in that. Like there's, it's called, never split the difference, right? Chris Voss, the negotiator, he's big on, did you give them the opportunity to buy? Right? Did you give buyers an opportunity to follow you on social media? But when I say opportunity, what I mean is, did you give them a reason to follow? Right? I don't have a separate business page. The reason I have a podcast page is because I wanted to try to grow that. I think like there's always a ton of tinkering and it's experimenting that's going on. My TikTok and my Instagram, I'm growing in my own personal name. YouTube, I figured I'm starting just like I did on TikTok when I was kind of just garbage timing my TikToks, which that's probably the one thing, honestly, Bella, like hand to God, start TikToking immediately as many times a day as you can.
And that's so painful to me. I have avoided it like the plague.
So let me just show you, I'm going to show you guys the numbers.
I know I got to do it. It's on my phone. I did load it on my phone. I'll tell you that.
Let me show you guys why. So this episode right here, let's ask the hard questions with Tim Leary. Tim is a great agent. He has a team with Real Life Team. If you guys know Spring Betsing, she crushes it. He's her team lead in Salt Lake. So great kid, doing a great job. He was actually on the Perry group. That's how I met him originally. Invited him on the show. But when I say that, it's not like this was Jimmy Rex, who already has a huge following, right? This wasn't he's great, but correct. It wasn't necessarily because he was a hype guest. I love you, Tim, but let me show you guys though really, really quick. So this is just on YouTube, but it's the exact same on Apple and it's the exact same on Spotify with my analytics. My average duration, significantly longer. If you look, this clip alone last month was responsible for 32% of our watch time on YouTube, and an even bigger percentage than that of the listens on Apple and Spotify. Okay, why? Right? Let's get into the analytics. Why does this have almost 4x the traction that my number 2 episode does?
Yeah,
right? Let's break it down.
Number 2 is at 18.
Correct, right? Like it's not even close. And it's because Tim had a 1-minute clip that went viral on TikTok.
Seriously. And did it drive from TikTok to?
I have been shocked. Like I can't come up with another reason, Bella. Like you guys are all getting this in real time. Like I said, we didn't do anything differently on that episode for it to outperform across all 3 platforms.
And that was the one.
Does that make sense? And that was the only thing that was different was Tim had a clip that helped us get an extra 1,000 followers on TikTok. That's where it went viral, was specifically on TikTok. But I have been shocked at the drive that TikTok has generated to other platforms outside of TikTok. I can't come up with another reason why it has 4x the amount of engagements across all platforms other than it went viral on. That's the only thing that's different, right? Obviously the clip and what it is, but like it's a longer one too. It was a minute-long clip. It was a 50-second long clip because we really got into the analytics of what kept people watching. Right. And what got people to listen. And like I said, if it works on YouTube, we're going to trickle down theory affect this, right? It will work on the other platforms as long as you obey the nuances that come with each platform.
Right. And so
and no hashtags on that video either, by the way.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. Don't let hashtags be your excuse, people.
That I know. And that's the thing, like Instagram hashtags are becoming less and less important, all those things, which is almost nice in a way. Because they're kind of a pain in the neck, in my opinion. You spend so much time researching them and then I throw them out there and it doesn't even make a difference.
I agree.
You know what I mean? I
agree.
Well, Boo, I can't thank you enough. That was so much content. So for the people, and we got some people that hung in here. We actually went an hour longer than.
Sorry, guys.
No, hey, thank you. We went an hour longer than we expected to today. So do we have anybody on that's got questions for Boo?
Not yet, but when I go try to do a TikTok, I'm.
So let's do this, Bella. I'll make a deal with everybody that's still in here. Are you ready? If you will go follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, everywhere, right? Whatever. That's not what I'm here for, right? But the analytics are telling me, right? This is what we're pushing right now, right? These are some of the things that we're looking for this week. On YouTube, 80% of the people that took in our content were not subscribed to our channel, right? So what does that mean? That either means that they're all stupid idiots that should have automatically subscribed, or that means that I'm not doing my call to actions. I'm not telling them in the intro, you guys, it would mean a lot to us if you would subscribe, right? Like if these numbers are our friends, you can either look at it and say that's the consumer's fault, or you can look at it and say, okay, how can I tweak this just a little bit better to get better and to get better traction? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like that. So now that's my focus. Like I literally refilmed 2 intros this morning that I came in to film on Saturday because I forgot to do my call to actions in them. And I'm like, nope, we're making this correction right now.
It's hard. It's hard because you just got a
is.
lot. Well, it's like riding a bike. You know what I mean? You're still figuring it out. You're still a little bit wobbly. So we just dropped your Instagram handles for both you personally and for Mad Cash Media.
Thank you.
And there was a question on the tip of my brain, but it's gone. It's okay because my brain.
One other thing, if you're in Utah and you're even remotely close to Lehigh, if I don't see like 5 or 6 people that have like reached out, I don't see my wife calling people, I'm going to be very, very offended. Like we're getting ready to raise prices just because the amount of traction we've had. I think with the market slow down a little bit more, my wife pointed out to us 2 weeks ago because she's obviously tracking her analytics on her end. Our request for content has nearly tripled in the last 2 weeks. And I think it's because you have agents that are for the first time starting to realize like, okay, this market isn't easy to sell in. Like the market is changing and social media allows you to adapt to that on the fly. But this is a way where I mean, very close to $1,000 a month, you can be getting anywhere from 5 to 10, 12 posts a month that are like professionally done, that are going to be trendy, that are going to look good. But once again, it doesn't work unless you know who you're talking to.
Right.
But if I don't see a handful of people, how about this, babe? Can we do a joint little thing together right now?
Yeah.
How many, do you want to do a freebie? She gave me the big eyes. What's the cheapest you would do 2 reels and photos for somebody? As like a huge favor, homie discount. 250?
$3.99.
Babe, 250. Huh? 250? Can you do that? Yeah. 2 people or 1 person? 1. She's so mad at me. Okay, so how about this? For the first 2 people that go to Mad Cash Media, go in and fill out a form for Courtney to reach out to you. The first 2 people that do it, we'll shoot 2 reels and photos for $250. We'll send our creators out there. We'll go roll it out. We'll let you guys get a feel for the experience. And then for the second one, 500, please. Okay, yes. Second one will be 500. Normally, that right now we're charging about $750 or so for that. But those are going to be 2 reels. They're going to be anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds of whatever content you want. Professionally edited. They're going to be cool. They're going to be sexy. And then anywhere from 20 to 25 photos, depending on what like you brought them to, where you can where you have those just sitting in your Google Drive at all times, ready to post a handful whenever you want them.
Super cool. Super cool.
Hold on. She's telling me in the bottom of the form, refer to this call, refer to this event. Sorry, this only works for people in Utah.
I know. I'm like, I don't live in Utah.
I'm sorry.
Only because it's really expensive for them to put their photographers on a plane.
My wife says kindly that you can fly us out if you want, Beverly, and we'll figure it out.
I was actually thinking of coming to visit Bella so I could,
if you're in, we would absolutely love to do it. But don't reach out. But don't reach out to me asking for content because I am very far removed from that. Like that's the only way that you're gonna have access to that group and to that pricing. So yeah, going it like that. That seriously is an unbelievable tool for people to use.
Hey, that's awesome, man. Thank you very much. See,
should we do one other thing? Should we do one other thing? Okay, how about this? For the people that aren't in Utah, and even if you're in Utah, if you go onto Instagram and you DM me a video of yourself asking a question, right? Here's the caveat. It has to be under 30 seconds and you have to get your point across. It's very crystal clear. If you send a video, because that's what I think that you should be posting, right? Is that question and the answer to that. Right? Like that's, I want you guys to get practice, but if you DM me a video of you asking any question about what we're doing specific to you, I will respond with a video as well. Kind of answering like your specific question, but it can't be about how to find your demographic. It can't be like, it has to be something that's like actually practical. It can't be how to find a trending sound. Like it can't be something that you can easily do on your own. Does that make sense?
Totally. Like a question they have about
Uh-huh.
how to do
But
that.
if you're wanting to know how to start or like what I would do from wherever your level is, ask whatever questions you want to specific to yours, but has to be under 30 seconds. And if it goes longer than 18 seconds, you got to do something at that 18 seconds to make me finish watching the video. Deal?
Okay. That's hilarious. And I don't mean Mardi Gras stuff either.
Nothing like that.
Not stuff
Oh,
that
that's
hurts
cheating.
me.
That's cheating. But I'd be happy to help however I can.
That's
let him help.
That is awesome, Boo. That's what you guys get for hanging in there till the end, right?
I feel bad we took way too long.
No, actually, dude, that was so much great content. We're so grateful.
Well, I appreciate it. If you guys make sure you're following us, and I look forward to questions.
Okay.
Hey, 24-hour time limit on that too. Your chances of getting a response go down after 24 hours, but I don't want anybody sitting around waiting. So there's no excuse not to open your phone for 30 seconds if you actually want to know, right?
Yep. And send a question. Send a good
Yep.
question.
Okay, easy enough.
If you're local, 2 reels and photos.
First person to DM 250.
Okay. And it better not be me and Tamra. Otherwise,
Exactly. That's cheating. Insider trading.
Better hurry. Otherwise, we're going to take those spots.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Woo! Did that go long today or what? I feel like we always say we're going to go short, and then we get so excited with our own guest speakers that we go long.
We always go long.
You know what I didn't do? I forgot to do the survey because I got so excited with the speakers. Okay, so for our last few little people that are on here, I have a quick survey for you. And then tomorrow, I double promise, we'll get the survey out on time so nobody is on here for 2
Oh, and don't miss tomorrow because Levi's coming on. More video content and how he made $1.7 million his first year in business just through YouTube.
But you're going to record that, right? Because tomorrow I may not be on. My daughter's here.
It will always be recorded. So
yes.
Yeah, my daughter's here from out of state, and I don't get to see her. So
no worries
no,
on that.
That's fine. It'll always be recorded. So we'll.
Thank you.
And then let me see if that pulls up for me. Come on. Oh, it's just going to be that way. All right, maybe we won't worry about the survey today, and we'll get the survey out tomorrow just because we went long. So we'll do surveys tomorrow. But yeah, so tomorrow is going to be very, very specific. It's going to be all about YouTube only. How do you start? What videos do you shoot? And how Levi, his first year in the business, closed 65 deals with over $1 million in gross commission income. Not a bad first year. He did it all off his YouTube channel, every bit of it. And these are all free videos that he did.
Yeah,
so,
no paid ads. None.
So just pure organic content. So that is going to be our day for tomorrow. I'm super stoked for that. And thank you everybody who hung in this long. We're going to have a video. It's going to take forever to render this video. We're going to have a video of this going out in email along with everybody's links. So everybody that had a link, as a matter of fact, that reminds me, I'm going to click on all these links myself so that I have them to send everybody. And we will catch you guys all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And please feel free, jump in the group and let us know what was the one big takeaway that you got out of today's, or two, because there was a lot of stuff.
Okay.
All right, guys, we'll catch you next
Have a
one.
good one.